Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
They're going to toss it. They haven't got it.
He's on the outside line, though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now, though, for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still start trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry.
He's on the outside line, though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to Radical's series for European series. We are in upstate New York, live from Watkins, Glen, for round 4 of this already very exciting championship this evening. It's Stephen Karabelis on the mic here with Dean Biggles. Looking forward to another fantastically exciting race. Watkins Glen is a fantastic race course for racing. It allows a lot of opportunity to overtake, lots of long sweeping corners and some very tight braking zones. We have the chicane version this evening, and looking forward to some very interesting running. We've got plenty of drivers out there practicing at the moment, running some very quick times already. We have our 2-time previous winner Jürgen Frank with us this evening as well, and he maybe has some competition this evening with Tim Birdie and Adam Isaacson making their return after a race out last time at Barber. But it should be an exciting time for us all. Is that right, Dean? Are you looking forward to this one? I am.
Oh, absolutely. This is a fantastic track. We've got those championship standings up currently at the moment, if you'd like to read through those. So just...
Yeah, certainly do. It's Jürgen Frank, who's won the last 2 races. He missed the first one, won the last 2 in commanding and dominating fashion, I might add, as well. And he's managed to pip Adam Isaacson by 2 points there, with 98 points. And obviously Paul Clark, who's had a consistent series so far, but no, he's turned up to every race, but he hasn't had any major top finishes. But shows you what consistency can do, because he's now in 3rd place. But Rudolf Nagel rounding out the 4th place, and John McHutchinson rounding out 5th, who had a very good 2nd place finish last time out, I believe, after a rocky start to the season. So he's starting to get things together. We've got Tim Birdie, who's proven to be rapid so far in P6, Alfred Malo in P7, and Mike Bousson in P8, and Menno de Graaf, who had a tough time of it last time out, ended up at the back of the grid, but still getting some good points due to the size of the grid. He's in P9. We've got Jason Duckworth in P10. We've got Arturas Kundelis in P11, Jorge Gonzaga in P12, Paul Crabb in P13, who's not with us this evening. I believe he's said in chat that he can't make it this evening. There's a pity because somebody was extolling the virtues of his pace. Good evening, Even Bremer. Good to see you here. And we've also got Dennis Kyriakopoulos in P14. He's had some decent efforts so far this season. We've got David Walters and Even Bremer, who I just said hello to, in P16 and 15 respectively. We've got Guy Robson in P17 and Paul LeMay in P18, who had a decent race last time out, beating his brother Michael LeMay, who is now P19 in the championship. Bit of a rivalry going on there between the two brothers in Team LeMay. Only 2 points separating them. We've got Nihad Glusik in P20, Berend Vinik in 21, and Stefan Mellis in 22. Alexander Roggenbuck in 23. 24 belongs to Graham Brown. Damien G in 25. And Andy Behan and David Satari and Gary Truby rounding out 26, 27 and 28 spots in the championship. Yeah, it's been an exciting championship so far. Jürgen Frank has been dominating pace proceedings, but anything can happen in such a short championship. This is round 4 of 10. And yeah, Paul Clark currently in that occupying one of those top 3 spots shows that consistency is the order of the day. And in the short championship like this, just turning up to every race can mean the difference between many positions. And yeah, looking forward to Watkins Glen. I've been racing here all week myself in the Formula Renault 3.5. It's a fantastic racetrack. Slightly different version that I've been in. It doesn't have the chicane in, but I'd much prefer the chicane version because it just breaks that long straight up. And yeah, great track for overtaking, great track for incidents. It's very easy to run wide. Some of the corners are on camber, I should say, if that's the right way to say it. And it makes for very fast cornering and very different lines available to everybody as well. So we're going to have an interesting race for sure.
apologise. Somehow the standing's not going away on the screen, so let me bear with that as they're starting their lone qualifying session at the moment. So yeah, still just bear with me on that one. Little technical glitches.
No problem.
Creeping in.
It happens. It happens. We're on board with Jürgen Frank at the moment, I believe. Or well,
Yes,
nobody at the moment.
Yes, correct. We are.
Yeah, this guy's, as I said, won the last 2 races. Won last time out in Barber in commanding fashion. Won the time before that in Sebring. But he did have Adam Isaacson pushing him all of the way in Sebring as well. They were battling for the fastest lap in the on the last stint there, and it was very exciting to watch. Adam Isaacson definitely is main challenger. He's finished P1 in the first race, P2 in the second race, Adam Isaacson. And Jürgen Frank has managed to finish P1 in every race he's started in so far. So he'll be looking to carry that on this evening. And yeah, it's the shorter version, or is it the longer version of the track that we have this evening? I think it is the 90-minute version, or is it this 30-minute version? I cannot remember for the life of me.
It looks like the regular version of it. It's got the second time.
Yeah, 1 hour 30. Yes, sorry, but bear with it. I'm an idiot for not being able to just press spacebar and have a look at the timing towers at the top there. But yeah, it's going to be a long, exciting race. There's going to be lots to add. It's going to be a different challenge for the drivers this evening. As we saw last time out, there's not a lot of time to correct a mistake. If you do end up at the back of the grid due to a spin or a contact with somebody, not a lot of time to get that. To come back from that, but this evening we do have the mandatory pit stops, 2 mandatory pit stops. Fueling is whatever you want to do with that as well, so people may decide just to run along, like they did in Sebring, run along and then do 2 very quick succession pit stops, or some people may decide to lower the fuel in the car and try and run faster for a shorter period and break the 1 hour, 1.5 hours up into 2 or 3 half-an-hour stints. Yeah,
So
it's going to be.
look at the concentration on Jürgen's helmet right there. Head side is going to get ready for his flying lap. You can see on the track map at the moment that that little yellow dot is where he's currently. There's the stop-finish line coming up right now. So well, in fact, you will take us on a hot lap around here, Stephen.
Certainly will. Coming down into turn 1, it's an on-camber corner. This you want to brake just at the 100-meter board just before. Catch a little bit of the curb on the inside here. You can see the line where you don't want to go over it, and it's a bit bumpy there over that curb. Don't want to go that far over that curb. I wonder if that's an invalidation or not, but a long sweeping right left chicane here. It's flat out that part, down now onto the back straight. This is going to be a great place to overtake. You'll definitely get some slipstream and tow down here and into a heavy braking zone for this next chicane. And you can carry more speed than you think through here. You can cut a lot of these curbs as well, but they're very bumpy and can be a bit unsettle the car a little bit and throw you off. And if you're going too wide or through there, it can be very, very dangerous. A long sweeping right-hander, very fast that right-hander, down into a sharp left-hander. Brake later than you think, carry more speed than you think you can as well, and take a late apex here and carry all the speed, get all of the exit curb there as well. Now, one of the tightest corners of the track, the right-hander here, and this one, another late apex. He catches that one beautifully there. There's a little kink there. That's very hard to spot, but you've got to aim for that. And then another back straight here. Another good place to overtake down here into the next corner. And it's another late braking zone just before the 100-meter board. You want to catch it as much as the inside curb here as you can, but you want to run wide, go over this curb here. It's not an invalidation. And then one of the hardest corners of the track. This one's off camber. Very easy to lose it on traction here. Got to be very patient on the throttle. And then down into what should be a flat. It's flat in the formula, the Renault 3.5. I don't know if it's flat in this. Nope, it's a bit of a lift there from the radical, and use all the exit curb. And then the final corner again is going to be a little bit of a lift, and use all the exit curb as well. Get very close to that wall, and that is a lap of Watkins Glen International. A very good racetrack, very good for racing. Lots of places to overtake. That last sector can be a little tricky, especially if you've got a guy who's slower than you in front of you. It can be very hard to judge their braking points and where they're lifting, how much they're lifting as well.
Just put Jürgen up into P2 with that hot lap that you did.
Ooh.
So not bad.
Not bad, but he has got competition from Isaacson, who's managed to put himself in P1 by 2.5 tenths. Got 4 minutes left of qualifying, and it's hotting up already. Qualifying obviously going to be less of a necessity here, because it's an hour and a half long race. You've got more time in the race to make any recovery. So if you make a mistake here in qualifying, there's definitely time to put it back. Yeah, purple sectors across the board really from Adam Isaacson there. Jürgen Frank faster in sector 1, but yeah, still 2.5 tenths roughly off the pace. We've got Nagel and Bertie rounding out the top 5, with Paul Clark as well there down in P5 as well. So Paul Clark, yeah, you'd be looking for a good finish here today to carry on his unlikely championship charge. He's been getting good points in each race, but not really challenging at the top for those podium positions so far. It'll be interesting to see. We have not, doesn't look as though we've got McHutchinson here this evening either. That's a shame.
Mick Hutchinson's in driving right now. John.
Oh yeah, there he is. He was
Bang,
off
P4.
my screen there, but yeah, P4. So yeah, bangs it right in. Thanks for keeping me right. That is a decent lap altogether. Yeah, he had a good race with Bertie at Sebring last time at the 90-minute. We did the 90-minute version, and you're looking to build on his success last week, where he finished P2. Now look at that, Frank's just bossed in another lap, but Isaacson went and beat it again straight away. And there's now 100th separating those two top guys, and these guys are in another league. They've got a good 3,000, 2.5, 3,000 I rating than most of the drivers here. The only person who can really compete with them is Tim Birdie at the moment, who we've got down in P7 at the moment. He'll be looking for a quicker lap as it stands. We're on board with Jorge Gonzaga at the moment for insert name e-racing team. I absolutely love that name. That is fantastic creativity.
Insert name as so he goes gets a time on the board there to P25. We just have one driver that's not setting a time actually. Let's do it as Kudelis. I'm going to really butcher these names again, but so far.
Oh, Turas Kundelis is the way I would pronounce
Kundelis.
that. I don't know if I'm getting that right or not, but yeah, he doesn't seem to have a time in at all at the moment. He may have backed out of it altogether. Wants to start from the back, maybe. Maybe to talk about the championship as it stands at the moment as well. We've got Sim RC Beethoven, which is pretty much Jürgen Frank at the top of the tables here. There he is. He's currently leading the team championship with Team Radline in P2, MK Racing rounding out in P3. But some interesting battles going on in that team championship as well. And Two Brothers Racing turning up to every race so far. Doing quite well in that standings as well. But Sim RC have got three different teams by the looks of things. They've got Mozart, Beethoven, and just decided Sim RC. And it's Beethoven that seems to be winning the battle of Sim RC at the moment.
Well, there you go. P1. So speaking of Beethoven himself, Mr. Frank gets it up to P1, exactly just ahead there of Adam. In the Sim RC, of course, they're all Sim RCs. The Team Radline's the only team. Look at that flying through there, John. And the only team member at the moment that's not in the Sim RC team, and that's the Team Radline. So John's going to represent right now as Birdie goes up into P3. Come on, John, break up their team. So get that on the front row, so you get a nice little competition battle. Look, he's throwing his car around, that's for sure.
Oh, it's very fun to drive these cars. They're very slippy and easy to kind of lose the traction on, but very quick to catch as well. And you can have a lot of fun with these. But obviously, the fastest way is to be smooth. So if you do see people losing the back end or getting a bit twitchy, it is definitely costing them time. Smoothness is the order of the day in these cars. So it's very wide there, and as you can do, as we said,
it's the hutch.
I love this track.
You see it on his rear wing. It's the hutch. Bringing it around the final couple of corners here. Now, I'm not lining up in the timing board of anything particular of purples, but we shall see. Keep it out of the fence there. Across the line. Qualifying session about to be over anyway, and I don't think that was an improvement. P4, so I'll take that one. Any improvement's a good improvement. That's about it. Dennis, I think, is the only one left on track, and he's parked it. Or about to. Well, that's going to be a not very good luck. That's it for qualifying session. Yeah.
10 seconds up, but yeah, Frank gets himself pole once more, proving that he's definitely rapid. He's almost a 10th over Isaacson there as well, but the race is a different matter, and it's a long race as well, so Isaacson has to just keep his cool and stick with that man in P1. He's got to put as much pressure on that man as he can, because he's got to try and force those mistakes, because he has not been making many so far, as our Jürgen Frank. He's been unbeatable, but they are all part of Sim RC, but I do believe that they do not talk to each other in voice chat while racing, so it's going to be interesting to see their battles, and I'm sure Isaacson, fighting for that championship, 276 car, will want to win this one and prove that Jürgen Frank isn't going to have this championship all his own way, because he's won every race he's started so far, has Jürgen Frank, as we mentioned. Got John Hutchinson as well. Great to see him, the Scotsman, get a nice top 5 qualifying session there as well. And Paul May reaching the dizzying heights of P6 here this evening. I think that's his best qualifying session so far. You'll be looking to gain some good points for that LeMay racing team, and maybe get one over on his brother as well. Sure if his brother's here this evening. It doesn't look like he is, which means that he's going to be able to kind of push away from his brother here. All the points that he's going to gain here today is, means that he's not, his brother cannot come back at him. But yeah, we've got the drivers currently lining up on the grid. Minute and a half to go before the lights out, and it should be a very interesting start indeed. The run down to turn 1's not very long, and turn 1 is a tricky corner to go side by side, and it's definitely something you can't do. And there's a lot of runoff on the exit as well, and but getting back on the track safely from that runoff is a different matter. You've got obviously going to have a lot of cars coming through there, much quicker than you if you've gone wide there. If you go over that bumpy curb on the exit to turn 1, it definitely slows the car down quite substantially as well. And you're going to come back over it as well to get back on the track. But we have 1 light, 2 lights, 3, 4 and 5. We're about to go live and we are away for Watkins, Glen, GP and the Radicals. And it looks like a very good start there from Frank. He comes across to the outside of the track and it looks as though he's left door, inside door wide open. It looks like there's a dive there from Bertie on Isaacson and he gets P2. But Hutchinson has managed to hold on to P4, Isaacson down to P3, LeMay gets past Nagel for P5, and it's a fantastic start from Frank though, already half a second up the road and looking to run away with this as well already. But Bertie and Isaacson battling now as they come down onto the back straight. And it looks like Isaacson looking to take this position back. He's got the inside line, he's going to go back and tuck in behind and not go for it. Doesn't want to go for the risky dive straight away, but look at these 3 yellow cars off in tandem already. Dropped for Hutchinson, and they are away and running away with it already. These Sim RC guys do not hang about. Oh, bit of grass there for Isaacson as well, not to lose the car. But yeah, May looking very racy as well. All over the back of Hutchinson, who's struggling in these early stages on those pole tyres. There's 3 cars battling all the way here, and to the inside goes LeMay to defend from Nigel behind. And it looks like that's a very good defensive move so far. Everybody's calming down a little bit as it stands, but looks like those front 3 are running away, creating a gap already. Fantastic start from these very professional looking drivers.
Oh, very great start, you'd have to say. Yeah, a lot of positions, the positions gained as losers, but not a lot. Pretty much everybody. It was only Rafael Blanco that has dropped 12 places. We'll see if we can get a catch on a little bit what happened with that with the off-track excursion. But aside from that, all the other 26 drivers have gone through that quite well. We're only showing 25 on the time board at the moment, but I believe there are 26 or so.
I think 28 maybe is might be the answer to that. I think 28, but yeah, like very good start from there. Lots of good racing there. LeMay getting very defensive, getting his elbows out down into I believe it's turn 7, I believe it was that he was getting his elbows out into just the toe of the boot of Watkins Glen. And, yeah, we've got a man in.
Stephen
is going very slowly.
Just going in really quickly there, so I'm not quite sure if anything had happened with Stevie, but I don't think so. We'll go back and have a look at what had to happen to Rafael Blanco here. I guess that might be just said he's off-track excursion there. And I don't know what's going on a bit tricky there for the camera. Maybe there might have been one of those little blink moments that you get. The connection or something like that. Anyway, something's happened to Paul during that.
It certainly has, yeah. He was a bit off track there and he's lost several positions because of it. So not sure what happened there, whether that was contact or just a mistake on his own. He's now under heavy pressure from Paul Clark behind, but he should have the pace to get away once his tyres have cooled off a little, or once he's got resettled again. But British driver Paul Clark, British driver Paul LeMay, battling currently through turn 7, I believe this is, and up to the heel of the boot. It is, yes, this is the heel that they're coming out to now. It's a tricky corner, this one, off camber, very tricky, very easy to go wide. You want to go wide though. Some people not trusting the car, but yeah, you want to kind of use all of that exit tarmac there on that runoff as LeMay goes very wide there in turn number 9, and yeah, you kind of get away with that sometimes in turn number 9 because it's not a very good overtaking spot this last 2-3 corners. It's tricky to get right, but a lovely Morton car there with some very interesting colours on it. Fastest lap there from Jürgen Frank then. And looks like, as you say, 1.6 seconds the gap to McHutchison, and he's already gapped Nigel behind by quite some margin as well. It suggests that maybe there was some kind of incident there with Paul LeMay, and that's allowed Nigel to drop off the back of McHutchison as well. But things are starting to settle down. We're starting to get a nice little train going from P5 all the way down to P13. So big battle going on for the midfield here. So those top three are running away with things at the moment. We've got one of the LeMay brothers looking at the back of this Tiger car at the moment. Looked at the inside, doesn't go for it at the moment. Side's better of it. It's very difficult to get side by side into that chicane. You've got to be alongside pretty much down the back straight. That inner and outer loop as section. Ooh, he's gone wide there and lost out very much there. Has Hugill as he's dropping positions left and right. Look at this. He's got offline, and 3 or 4 drivers have taken great advantage of that straight away and dived up his inside there. There's Weenik going wide now as well, and he loses out of position here to that green radical on the inside. But he's going to fight it back down into the final sector here, and he keeps on at that position. Look at that, the car's behind. Look at all the actions there in the back, and they're swapping positions left and right. Somebody's dropping order very quickly, going very slow on the inside line there. People are getting slowdowns.
Yeah, Connor's gone off track earlier. Let's have a look at that. So that's the reason why he got a massive slowdown. Yeah. Let's have a look here, the replay of Connor. So there it is, just drops it out of the corner there, and luckily off the racing line, but sadly.
Big damage to the front of his car, and that's very early in a very long race as well. But he's got time to bring it back. But it also means that, that's not the way you want to go. Just caught a little bit of grass there on the exit there. There's a little bit of a... But he's done very well to get out of everybody's way and not cause any major problems for anybody there. But a man in the pits, it is LeMay. I imagine he's maybe got a little bit of damage or something like that. Maybe needs to get that fixed.
Well, pit stops, remember? You said there's 2 pit stops, so maybe just get one out of the way with at the moment, even though it's early, but...
It is very early.
Yeah,
and,
that's just a quick stop and go, so that's it. I think just get that pit stop over and done with and get some fresh air. I know, maybe because you didn't like the traffic at the moment, couldn't do too much about that traffic, and elected just to come out. As you can see the track map at the moment, start to spread out a little bit, but here's your battle currently at the moment between the Flying Dutchman, and just up the road there is David Ralston, the Tiger Racing Team. You can see that livery. Can't miss a Tiger.
Obviously, yeah, we've got Mr. Bremer all over the back of Ralston here, trying to get past. And yeah, it's definitely a track that enables overtakes. There's very wide track, lots of space in the corners. But the one place you really don't want to go side by side probably is the inner loop, that double chicane at the end of the back straight. It's very easy to get pushed off your line by the curbs there, and that pushes you into the guy next to you and causes a big incident. So GT3 cars tend to avoid going side by side through there, and they're some of the more stable cars that you can drive in iRacing. These radicals are less stable, like bumps and curbs a lot less than GT3s. But it looks like a hot race hotting up here between these two, and I absolutely adore that Tiger livery, I've got to say it, or livery, whichever way you want to pronounce that. We've got a man in the pits there, looks like Clark going in, and you might be right in saying that a few people are going to pit early, get themselves some clean air, and let themselves run at their own pace for a little while and try and catch people and overtake them in the pit. I imagine that you can probably fuel these cars enough to get maybe the entire hour and a half race in, or almost the entire hour and a half race. And these guys might have just used a little bit, or maybe underfueled the car, used a little bit of that fuel, try to get quick, good starts, and then come in for a big fuel. I didn't see how long Clark stopped for. We have an overtake here from, it looks like Gonzaga on Glusick, and that was very nicely done up the inside into the inner loop. Fantastic move. Yeah. Very brave.
Well, and look at the Tiger Racing Team at the moment there. So, yeah, Irvin did get past him, Bremer. It was a quick pit stop before that. I'm getting 1.2 seconds there from Paul May. If you wanted to mention that one, so that's just a quick stop and go. Overall, 32-second pit stop. Say 33, around that.
Yeah, so not taking on a lot of fuel if you took on any at all. Definitely not taking on tyres. It takes about 15 seconds to change tyres. Looking at the back of this very nice blue Nismo car livery at the moment. Carl Sonic on the rear wing, and look at that nice tight line that Bremer has got there. Looking very racy here with Kyriakopoulos. And Kyriakopoulos has had some good races, some bad so far this season. He's looking for a nice points haul today, but he's got a battle on his hands for this. He's got to defend his position. But maybe he just wants to give this up, because it looks like Bremer is very quick. Maybe Bremer doesn't want to go for it. It looks like he's lifted there. He doesn't want to go for the move just yet. Not going to the inside, so just happy to follow through. Follow on in Kyriakopoulos' footsteps at the moment. We'll go to the outside, maybe? Nope.
Look at
It's looking
spacing now, but absolutely. I think he needs to get on with this one. Hello, Phil out there.
Hello, Phil, yeah.
Phil, the Robin Hood of Sim Racing Team. Welcome along, of course, to upstate New York at Watkins at the Glen. With, 27 gladiators. I believe one of the drivers didn't start. So 27 of these brave souls are making their way around this classic track. Of course, it should be on the Formula 1 calendar, but unfortunately it's not. But it used to be back in the day.
It did. Before my time, unfortunately. But Bremer not going for this move here on Kyrgiakopoulos, which is interesting because he does seem to have the pace over him at the moment. And his sector times, they're all fairly good in comparison, and he's now got Rolliston behind, causing him pressure as well. So I'm wondering whether or not he's just playing the long game, happy to sit behind Kyrgiakopoulos. Maybe they know more about each other's pace than I know about their pace. I mean, I've followed the season all the way so far, and I believe these guys have definitely got the pace, similar pace. But looks like Bremer is looking quicker at the moment, and is just backing off at this moment in time, and just saving his tyres. But big battle here we've got going on behind Kohlberg and Cascado, I believe that is as well. Big gaggle of 4 cars here coming through the final sector. This is turn 10 now, very quick corner down into the final turn 11. Very difficult to make a move here, not the best place to overtake, but it can be done. You can overtake pretty much every corner on this track. It's one of the reasons I love it so much. Very wide. As you can see here, you can probably fit 5 cars wide down into turn 1, but I wouldn't advise that, for sure.
Yeah, unless you'd be visiting a local medical centre here. You can try it, of course, once again. It is lots of overtaking opportunities. You can see just up the road there. Is that, yep, there it is, side by side. So it was Rafael Blanco, who I remember made that earlier spin, trying to climb his way back up into P12, and he dropped down, I think, as much as about P16, 17. Oh, there's a different racing line coming through here. Interesting, and there's contact. Oh.
And that is Holberg. That has come off worse there for sure. That's why.
Got clipped on the wing then, didn't he? Just then.
Yeah, he did. That's caused him a bit more damage. He's staying put, rightly so. Don't want to be unpredictable and move in a situation like that. You've got to wait for everybody to get past. Be very predictable, as he now has drifted a little bit backwards and tries to get the car back going the right way again. As he's
let's have a look at the replay. Again, we saw that before, but you could see the different racing lines through here. And then at that point, look, he's cut it and then come back onto the racing line. I think he had the side by side action. No, that's an interesting one for the stewards, of course. Maybe.
It is. I think it looks like a racing incident from my perspective, because it's a tricky place to go side by side. The space was left from them both, but contact still happened. But it did look as though it was on the defending car. Oh, big crash there. What's gone on there? Big lock-up, smoke all in the background there as well. Looks like he hit the wall. Who is that? It's Glusik again.
Yeah.
It's like,
I think it might not be too much damage. It just came out of the corner a little bit too heavy. And
it looks all in good nick. Yeah, it looks all in good nick.
Also,
25
we had
going again. Oh, he's banged that wall again there.
Oh, has he? This is another one happened a little bit here for the other Dutch driver there. Of thinking now, see what's happening here. Look, he's also banged it. A little love tap to the fence, just to remind him that we're here. And this is the one before too that we saw just on the corner of our pitches when we were looking at the drivers just up the road, and this is where he's coming onto the grass here. Yep. Saves it, right? Oh, no, just a tap.
Just a tiny little tap. Well, that'll be not too bad. He'll be able to carry on racing with a very minor amount of damage, if any damage at all. His car looks in very good nick. But just a reminder there from Nightbot as well. Don't forget, guys, to hit the bell, hit the like button, and subscribe if you enjoy the content and want to see more. But yeah, Isaacson and Frank got away from birdie for a short amount of time, but they're not seeming to be battling very hard, these guys. They're not really going at each other ham and tongs. Happy to just continue in this little formation of 3 at the front, as Bremer still all over the back of Kyrgiakopoulos and really putting the man under a lot of pressure, but he doesn't seem to want to go for the move. He definitely has the pace to do it. He just needs to...
Oh, big crash somewhere. Sorry to cut you off on that one. This has probably collected a couple of cars here.
In the background, yes. Haraski going there. I cannot see this on my iRacing, but...
there. Ooh. Might be able to see that in a second. It's Jason Duckworth that's gone side by side, and they've both had a little bit of a moment. There's another car in the background, taking evasive actions, and Yeah, you might have to watch that one on the YouTube. Sometimes it doesn't show you the replay up on yours.
I was saw that there, guy
Yeah.
voids in the car then, clips the Castrol in the back and sends him flying. That's very unfortunate for the Castrol guy, just a victim of circumstance there by the looks of things. But he's got a lot of damage and he's going to find it tricky to get back to the pits. He might have to tow it. But yeah, some drama occurring at Watkins Glen, some contact. As wide as this track is, it can still be sometimes difficult to avoid the other drivers as you're trying to find the limits. As we've got side-by-side racing here going on here. I've lost my. There it is. Back was Bremer and Kiriakopoulos looking to go at each other by looks. We've got a man in the pits as well.
There's some of these drivers that are involved in that accident. You can see the couple of dinged up cars in the background getting their fast repair on.
Yep, there is a fast repair available for a lot of people here. Obviously, the Castrol car is maybe going to use his there. Good as new. Look at that. I love that livery as well. He's going to get new tyres as well. I'm wondering if that's a mistake. Probably don't need to take the new tyres until later on in the race, but he's changing the front ones. And it doesn't look as though he's changing the back. There go the back ones. Yep, so he is getting the back ones as well. So I imagine he's taking on a fair bit of fuel at the same time as well. Maybe get himself to the end of the race. 1 hour and 15 minutes remaining. Only 15 minutes into this race so far, and all this action that we've had. All this racing that we've had, and there's 1 hour and 15 minutes more to go. Of incredible action here at Watkins Glen. Lots of great racing going on, and lots of drama as well. Bremer right on the backside of Kiriakopoulos still unwilling to go for this move. Watch this, he's going to lift very early into turn 1. It's just following the guy around. Just doesn't want to go for it. And they're not part of the same team, Platinum Racing Team and MK Racing Team. Definitely competing with each other. And doing very well is Bremer here to follow so closely Kiriakopoulos without hitting him. But he's doing it the right way. He's lifting and braking softer, but earlier and longer in order to avoid hitting the back of his rival. But not going for those dives. It's a very different line through the double chicane there, the inner loop as well. And it looks a lot slower for Bremer. That.
Yeah, it costs him a little bit of time. And just to compare him, Dennis just up the road there, that's the Swiss driver. He has a 4.2 KI rating. Bremer has a 3.5. Now, once again, the I rating is not really always a correct judgment of your pace, unless you're like 10K or something like that, or Jürgen leading this race at 8K. But sometimes you might think, hey, I'm happy once again to sit behind the other car that's fast. So if he's going lap times that you're comfortable with, why not? They're in the 40s. Our leaders are in the late 39s. So that's, it's not too bad. You're only about a tenth or so off leader's pace at the moment, so sometimes I think you'd be happy just to be sitting there and handling the dirty air quite well.
Yeah, so I think the best lap is currently belonging to Adam Isaacson as well. He's got maybe half a tenth, just a few hundredths quicker so far than Jürgen Frank, but these guys were battling hammer and tongs for the fastest lap in Sebring, and I'm just going to the same here. We've got a side-by-side action here coming into, I'm not sure which corner we're at because of the angle, but it looks like it is in the boot. It certainly is, coming up to the heel, and nothing doing there. As Menace isn't able to get past. I believe he was the man doing the attacking as they come now into turn 11. To make it. So one of the things with Watkins Glen as well is it's very easy to overtake in a lot of places on this track, but you've got to really time it right, because if you overtake in the wrong place, it's very easy for the other guy to come back at you if he gets the toe down the next straight. So I'm wondering if the best place to maybe do the overtake is probably into the inner loop. It's also the most risk involved trying to make an overtake. If the guy defends and you go side by side in the loop, well, you just have to ask. I believe it was who was it who went flying in there? It was Scribner, I believe it was. I could have got that wrong, Connor Scribner, but yeah, it can cause major problems, major incidents, that the inner loop, as we watch two guys go around there, backing out. Is Mellis not wanting to go side by side through that sector? It is very dangerous to do so. It's very easy to just drift a little bit wide into the guy on the outside in that complex of corners.
And the sun, once again, if you're driving in VR, might get a little blinding in some of the corners, as you can see, as it's getting to that peak moment where it will smack you right in the face as you're about to hit your braking points in certain parts of this track. Not as bad as some of the other tracks sometimes that you get. And you get Sunset Corner or one of that, and one of the other tracks as well too, called up for very much recently. The different racing lines you can see right now as we are riding on board with that Stefan.
Yeah, Stefan Millis currently Well, where is he in the championship? I shall check. As yeah, front three guys, 3 seconds now the gap. They're very slowly eking out an attempt at a time over these guys behind. But it's the top 6 that are all hitting the 39s at the moment. As we've got some side-by-side here from Bremer and Kiriakopoulos. Is Bremer finally going to go for the move? Kiriakopoulos is defending the inside into the inner loop, and it looks like Bremer gets it though. It looks like braked very early did Kiriakopoulos. Maybe he's given that. He's got a bit of damage to the front right-hand side of his radical as well. Wondering if that's costing him some time, and that's why Bremer has decided to make that move in the end. But
Yeah, good spotting on that. I can just see it. Yeah, just a little bit. Nothing that won't buff out, but cost him a little bit of time because now he's under the clutches there of the Tiger Racing team there of, well, David's kind of crawling them in a little bit. Dennis, that we said with the damage. That's a, that's not a car in position. That's Duckworth that they just overtook there. So that's a, I was looking for that car for a second. So who's in play there? But that's a blue flag, so it's being lapped.
I'm very curious as to where that damage has come from on Kiriakopoulos' car, because I get the feeling that may be contact with another driver. Because there aren't a lot of places where you can hit that right-hand side against the barrier and survive. The left-hand side, yes, you can definitely hit the barrier on the left-hand side, especially out of turn 11 here at Watkins Glen, but there's not many where you can hit the inside right, driver's side right here as well. So I imagine there wasn't going to be big contact because obviously he's still going. He didn't spin or anything. But he could now start to come under the clutches of Rolliston, who was with these guys before, and Bremer has dropped him like the proverbial sack and is already a second and a half up the road. Busan and Nagel currently fighting hard as well. They've been in this formation for quite some time. I wonder if Busan is thinking that he's got the pace. His best lap is on par with Nagel, but not being able to get past so far as he backs off quite a bit there. Half a second lost in that corner there. That's one of the things with these corners in Watkins Glen. If you brake just a little bit too hard or a little bit too early or don't carry enough speed, it's all about carrying the speed through these, especially these two here, turns 6 and 7.
Yeah, you can
5,
see
6
at the
and
moment.
7.
There's your best times at the moment. So it's pretty much exactly almost the same, isn't it? 39.4s for both of these drivers.
Certainly is, yeah. And you can see the difference and why those from 3 have disappeared a little bit, because they've just got that extra couple of tenths per lap available to them in the tank. Yeah, but the top 6 or so are disappearing from those behind. And you can see why the guys behind P8 and downwards are unable to get into the 39s. P7, David Walters is able to get into the 39s, but only just.
Comes this to Stephen Place. 6 positions lost so far in this race, but I believe that Stephen has taken one of those pit stops earlier, remember? So
certainly did, yeah. Very, very early pit stop for him. That is going to come into play soon. At some it depends on what. In Sebring, we saw a lot of people basically filled the tank full, ran it dry, came in to change the fuel and tyres, and then literally did a lap or 2 on the new fuel and tyres. Came in, did a quick stop and go. I wonder how many people are willing to do 3 stint method of breaking the race up a little bit. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the pit stop strategy. I imagine the majority of people are probably going to go with the same methods as did with Sebring. You think?
I think so. I think you might be right on that one for sure. Just depends a little bit on the old track and where you can find some sort of gap out there as well too. If you got an engineer or spotter trying to work with that one. But we'll have to go back to that battle with Stevie right here. And that's Mr. Guy Robinson for the Team Drake.
He gets past him there. Looks like he was just giving up the position a little bit. He's got a little bit of damage on the front of his car as well. A few guys getting little nicks and things like that. And that's not what you want in this kind of long endurance race. An hour and a half. Does it count as an endurance race? I don't think so. Fair when you've got 4-hour Nürburgrings out there, 12-hour Sebrings and things like that. 90 minutes. It's definitely a long time to be behind the wheel of the car. You're definitely going to get a sweat on, burn some calories for sure. But, yeah, looks like Hugel, May and Gonzaga all in a nice little 3-way battle here as well.
Yeah, I think Andy let Paul LeMay through because Paul LeMay's already had his pit stop. So maybe realising there's no point quite too much on that one. As the driver's Dennis, and you know how to pronounce your surname correctly.
Kyria Kopolos.
Yeah, we have spoken to Dennis before about that one. See if it takes that repair. You said there was a little bit of damage there to the front left side, front right side. I was going to say stage left.
It might be one though. That might be one of those where it's very little damage. You might be willing to just take the 20 seconds optional repair in the pits without using the fast repair. Save the fast repair. It does look, it go immediately as well though, so it looks like he did use the fast repair. Maybe a mistake that, because if he now gets a big bit of contact now and ends up with lots of damage, he no longer has the fast repair to repair any big damage, and that damage might have been very quick to repair. I wonder if he's made a mistake there and not unticked the fast repair on his dash there. So it's sometimes tricky for drivers. I mean, I know that I've just recently done rejigged all of my button binds and things on my wheel so that I can do that in race, but some people don't have that set up, and in race it's very, very difficult to get the mouse out and click buttons on your little black dashboard while you're driving the car at the same time. There's a few long straights that you can get away with it here at Watkins Glen, but the corners are there quicker than you think sometimes, and then it's panic stations, and that's how you make mistakes when you're distracted doing things like that. But a number of these guys are going to be maybe a few of them have got crew chiefs who can do certain things for you if they're a trusted spotter. So Arthur Thurtle in chat says, hello, is James taking the night off? I think James is doing the Peacock. I'm not
yes,
sure.
he is. James is doing the Peacock, which is currently not Peacock. That's a TV network.
That's a rather large
Peacock
bird.
is doing the IndyCar currently at the moment. Okay, but yes, James is on broadcasting the Peacock series. I'm stepping in for Dan. Unfortunately, couldn't be here today to broadcast this one, but of course we have the legend himself, of course, Mr. Stephen here.
Oh, thank you very much, right? Thank you very much.
The Kebab Star is his nickname. Used to be when we used to cast back in the Formula 1 days, and I think he's still doing Formula 1 back then, I believe.
I certainly have, yeah. I haven't done it for a couple of weeks. Just too much stuff going on. IRL, car getting crashed, and tooth falling out, and some other problems.
Did you get that tooth sorted out yet?
Well, I went to the dentist. He put a temporary solution in, and that temporary solution now fell out yesterday.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's not gone well at all. But yeah, I'll probably be tomorrow morning going back to the dentist. But Kyria Kopolos looking racy here, just trying to get past the back marker. He's done his pit stop, and he gets past Robertson with ease there. Robertson not fighting him too hard, knows that this guy is rapid and belongs much further up the field, and just sensible racing there from Robertson as he gets past place now as well. I'm going to do the place has something gone on there, but Nigel and Buisson still going on hammer and tongs. Buisson still unable to make the move, but look at the gap now as well. 1.5 seconds between Hutchinson and Bertie, and that is dropped significantly from the 3 to 4 seconds it was earlier. So I'm wondering whether these guys at the front are maybe fighting, or whether McHutchinson is just starting to put the hammer down with a 39.1. Fastest lap this round. He definitely seems to be rapid at the moment, and Buisson with a 39.2, 3/10 quicker than the man in front of him, Nigel. I'm sure I'm butchering that name as well.
Nigel, well, Nigel's, I don't know if you saw that. That's the Skeletor helmet right there.
Certainly is. It's
There's
one of my favourites.
here, only the Skeletor.
Yeah, see, yeah, brilliant stuff. I absolutely love it. But Buisson going to the outside, defends the inside here, Nigel. We're going to have some...
Go back to that. My apologies. I was going to look at something else. Very bumpy.
Not a problem, but yeah, it looks like he backed out of it though, Buisson. You don't want to really send it particularly hard into that inner loop. We saw what happened with that earlier when a guy got tagged on the outside, and it's you're really taking your life on the guy putting your life in the hands of the guy on the inside, and it's not really up to them sometimes when that curve pushes you. It can push you very easily and quickly. But McHutchinson on a charge at the moment, 5.5 second gap behind these guys. These guys definitely battling it out now. Nigel having to do the defensive work. His Place and Robinson also looking at very racy at the moment. Looks like Place has managed to get past by the looks of things. Well, nice, very nice livery on that red car there with the England flag. I've got to say, the fire on the back.
Stephen did here, so let's have a look at the replay of that. That's just on the outside, which turns back into the inside, and that's a job done for the Canadian driver to make his way back up into 17th place.
Yeah, very smart stuff indeed.
But we've had a crash, unfortunately. This could be involving somebody else. Now, Andy. So what's happened here? Hopefully, I'm sure the replay's working for you on that one. But this is Andy, who was...
yeah, he just got on the throttle a bit too hard.
I think somebody's hitting maybe here. I don't have a look, because there was also Bernard, I think. Bernard. No, this could be a separate incident. Just having a look what happened here to Winnick. He dropped it into this corner, I'd say. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hits the chicane coming out of the corner. Back to live pitches. Race leaders still aren't in yet, but Paul LeMay and there's Raphael, and there it is, Raphael and Rolson. So Raphael Blanco gets past the Tiger Racing team. Just there for
You guys
now.
are racing for position. No stops made by either of them so far. We're going to see a lot of the quicker guys who have made stops, such as May and Kyrgiakopoulos, Place and Clark, coming through the order, and that can develop its own risks. As sometimes the guy in front is slower, and bumping at the back of them. Uruguayan flag there on the rear wing of Blanco, and yeah, it's been. Is that the Uruguayan flag? Oh,
Yes,
I
it
got
is.
that totally wrong.
Yep.
Certainly
No,
is,
it's
yeah.
Uruguay. South America,
You
of
got it?
course. We just haven't seen many other South American drivers in here, actually. I think he might be the only one.
Majority Europeans. I mean, it is the European League after all. I imagine there's maybe a few of these guys in the American League as well.
Yeah, I think he is actually, not to mention, because we do have the Americas coming up later on this evening. For those, so that they don't have to get up in the afternoon currently at the moment, like I am.
It's a young man's
early.
game for sure to do 2 races in one evening. That's
Yeah, there is a
especially
couple of
90 minutes
definitely
long.
a couple of these drivers, I believe, that are also attending, and this is the battle still brewing between these two drivers. Skeletor himself goes up against Mr. Busen.
It's a fantastic racing between these two here. And Busan does eventually get him and gets past, but now look at this. He's going to have the toe all the way down the back straight into the inner loop, and is Major going to go back for this move? Is he going to make the dive, defending the inside, and then he opens it and leaves it open, but yeah, he doesn't go for it. He's being sensible there, Nigel, maybe. You don't want to really send it too hard into the inner loop. I've mentioned it time and time again. It's a very dangerous corner here, the most dangerous maybe on the track. And to go side by side, we've got Robertson in the pits. We also have Vinnick in the pits as well for his second stop of the evening. Roggenbuck has also made 2 stops as well, down in P25 at the moment. But story of it so far is McHutchison has dropped that extra second and a bit off the back of the front 3 again. Maybe that's a mistake, causing that jump. But 6 seconds to Busan. These guys fighting is not doing them any favours trying to catch McHutchison at all. But just under an hour to go, lots of racing still to be had. And yeah, these pit stops can sometimes cause havoc as well. And if you've used your fast repair and you get damage, that can cause a major problem for you for the remainder of the race.
Yeah, to let everybody know there's mandatory 2 pit stops that you have to do, which I like it. Actually, it does spice it into it. The cars don't need to do 2 pit stops. A lot of those are just a quick stop and go really quickly, but I think it does spice it up a little bit as we've seen before in the past. It just gives you the opportunity where you have to time it perfectly. Because a lot of the drivers just do it very much on the last lap or the lap prior. Sometimes you see the team going. We've seen, haven't we, the team RC kind of all go in at once, and I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see Frank, Ixon and Birdie all go in for their team stops together.
Yeah, most likely. I mean, they'll all be running at fairly similar times, fairly similar wear, fairly similar fuel. And what this double stop does allow as well, it allows anybody who makes a bit of a mistake or has an incident in the early stages of the race, the opportunity to catch back up because they use their pit stop early. And but everybody else still has to pit twice. Gets it wrong there, does that man, and hits the barrier very hard indeed. Has to tow that back. I doubt that car would have made it back or would have moved at all from that position. And that could be him out of the race. I don't know if he's got his fast repair. I'm not sure who it was, in all honesty.
It was Kim Holberg for Equal Racing. So,
unfortunate. Very unfortunate. But that is the nature of the Radical. If you hit the curb too hard or get it a bit unsettled, get the wrong angle, it can throw you very hard off the track. And it'd be very difficult to save. And possible to save that one for Holberg. Down in second last place at the moment, we've got Arturis Gundelis. Is currently out of the race, I believe. He's not setting any times. Hasn't set a best time.
Didn't start, unfortunately.
Didn't start.
Yeah,
maybe some issues there for him. It's unfortunate. He was doing not too shabby in the championship stakes, I believe. He's currently P11, so that's a bit unfortunate.
Look how blinding that is at the moment. Going through the corner, it's riding on board with Nagal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Need your sunglasses on underneath that Skeletor helmet for sure. As these guys still battling very hard. They've been battling the entire race. The one thing I'm going to say as well is that last time we saw Frank and Isaacson racing on track together, Frank gapped Isaacson pretty quick He made some mistakes early on in separating, did Isaacson, and that 5-second gap then stayed steady to about 6 seconds for the remainder of the race. But this time, Isaacson is there or thereabouts, and Birdie is there alongside them as well. And the Swedish driver, in a German sandwich at the moment, will want to win this race. He has to win this race to keep his championship hopes nice and alive, because at the moment, Frank, winning every race that he's been in so far, is definitely favourite for the championship. But Isaacson is going to think that maybe he's destined for that one as well. Both of them very high end of 7.5 or 7,800 for Adam Isaacson on high rating, and just over 8,000, just under 8,100 for Jürgen Frank. And these guys will be definitely battling each other, fighting each other, but they'll probably keep the respect. They are on the same team after all. They won't do anything untowards. You won't see too many lunges or last-minute dives.
I think he's going to go for it. I think, yeah, a little later on to this race, because you've still got just a shy under an hour to go. Oh, I'm blinded by that corner right there. This one is just so tricky. Luckily, you're not in a heavy braking zone, but you are lifting off a little bit. Get close to that.
He's actually using all of the track, you've got to say. He's using every inch of it, getting very close to that wall on the exit to the final corner. As he also lifts a little bit here as well. And
back marker into play, yeah. Oh, that shouldn't do too much of a fight between these gladiators. So, but once again, I'm expecting to see, Adam, if he's going to be doing something a little bit later, you see the back marker completely gets out of the way there and doesn't want to be a part of that party for now. And you can just see in the background John coming around the corner. So John can just see him still, which is enough, a little bit of a motivation to go, where are the leaders? Well, they're out the road, almost 4 seconds.
Oh, mistake from John there, and he's dropping time rapidly as well by the looks of things. And 7 seconds now the gap to these guys. I wonder if he got behind the back marker there and maybe lost a fair bit of time in the inner loop. Big drop there. He went from 3 seconds to 7.5 seconds. So that's not gone his way at all. And Buson has managed to catch up a fair chunk of change up on McHutchinson as well, and that's how quickly things can change here as well. I have to say it was heart in mouth moment for me there as well, because that back marker, I'm not sure who it was extremely close to the grass. And if his tyre just dipped into that a little bit too much, he could have span and taken out one of those leaders. And it was real heart in mouth.
I'm wondering, because there was a moment here, I'm going to have a look at Alex. It says that Alex has had a crash here. This is the 81 car. Now, he's currently running down a P23, I think and I'm just wondering if we didn't see that, so it shouldn't have been affecting at all John. I'm not seeing anything from race control about John going off track or anything like that, but we did know he went quite slow. Maybe he got a slowdown warning or something from race control? I don't know. Possibility,
yeah, so that would cost you around 3 seconds for sure, depending on where you served it and how you served it as well. But that was unfortunate for Mr. Roggenbuck. Just getting a little out of shape on the entry into that corner I mentioned earlier, which is turn 9. Very difficult off-camber corner to get right. If you come in too hot, it's very difficult to save it. And if you get it wrong, you can very easily hit a barrier on the outside as well. On board with Bihan here, all over the back of Gonzaga. 10-second gap in front. Neither of these men have stopped so far either. But battling for a while, I believe. We've got Kyriakopoulos, who's a quicker man, who has stopped behind them, coming up fast as well. He was looking to make short work of these guys. If he does catch them, we're probably going to start seeing a number of people, if they're going to go for these the triple stint and do lower fuel and manage their race that way, then we're going to see a few people probably jump into the pits sooner or thereabouts. But I imagine a majority of people, the only people who have stopped so far, especially those with 2 stops, have probably done so because of damage. But it looks like Kyriakopoulos might be one of those. He fixed that tiny little bit of damage. Maybe he just felt it was costing him too much time per lap. But didn't look like enough damage to really cost a huge amount. But look at the defence here from Gonzaga. Defends the inside. Make sure that nothing untoward happens in that inner loop. And it's very sensible, smart racing, that. Just make the decision early. Make the decision for Bihan and say, look, you're not going to get past me into this corner. It's too dangerous. But Bihan currently looks like the faster man, and the British guy all over the back of the Portuguese man, and looking to make this move. But if he makes the move, will he be able to hold on to it as well, as he gets a very good run here out of turn 7 into turn 8? Is this a good place to overtake? It doesn't look like Gonzaga is going to defend it. so it doesn't look like he's going to go for it. But looked at the inside, didn't go for it in the end. Difficult corner to make the overtake there, because people will almost certainly try to get to the apex in that corner. Sticking your nose up the inside there could be dangerous. But safe, respectful racing from the guy so far behind us. Look, happy to wait for his opportunity, wait for the right opportunity in that bright yellow Radical. Yellow seems to be a very favourite colour of these guys. I wonder if that's something to do with just being spotted on track. You know, you don't want a grey coloured car on a grey track, you know.
Yeah, grey cars, I think if you're insurance-wise or some of that too. I don't know what that do for insurance, actually, for cars to say if you've got a grey car. White car is obviously the best visible one you can see. It's also, here we go, but they are going to do this, so I think they realise that too, because you do have the very fast Dennis just down the road there. It's starting to catch up them too with this battle, so bringing him into play. Remember, these two drivers at the moment have not taken their pit stops.
Certainly haven't. Just Behan has got the inside now for the inner loop, but they're going to go. Looks like they're going to go side by side into this area. Is anybody going to back out? It looks as though no. Oh, looks like Behan did eventually back out, braked a little earlier, and very brave from Gonzaga there. Goes round the outside into the first part of the inner loop, and I'm wondering if that's just Behan thinking to himself, "I want to live another day." But now that brings Kyriakopoulos into play, and he wants to get past these guys in short order. He's quicker than them. He's made his pit stop already, and he doesn't want to be held up too long by these. He's got place behind, 3.5 seconds behind, and he's just looking to lose as little time as possible in the traffic. Side by side, we've got Nigel and Buisson also still going hammer and tongs. They've been at it all race as well. As looks like Nigel gets the position back from Buisson into turn 1, I believe that was, as they go up the hill. Very Eau Rouge like that corner. I very much love that. Flat out, not quite as difficult as Eau Rouge. Look at this.
Reach out
all
and
over the back.
Reach out and grab the rear wing and hold on. That's how close he is.
£50,000 fine. That don't do that. That's Vettel learned that the hard way. Tell you what, I missed that man Vettel from my F1. One of the nicest people in Formula 1, I have to say.
Not to Mark Webber specifically during a race at one time, but
yes.
He's really nice in
days.
person. Obviously, he's sometimes very aggressive on track, and that's what you have to have anyway. You have to have an aggressive race driver. That's what
I don't know a single race driver who's won a championship who wasn't like that on track. Max obviously gets a lot of stick for his aggressive nature on track, but he is also one of the nicest people you could ever meet off track as well. Lots of fans meet him. He's a lovely person. And very recently, I have to bring this up because it kind of shocked me at the time. But look at this 3 wide that we're going to have going on. Oh, look at that. Behan just gets out of his way entirely.
Both of them, just like that. He's happy to tuck in behind and said, I don't want to be. Yeah. Why don't you guys go for it now?
It's like he just wants to follow Kyriakopoulos through. He just wants to look after his race and be safe here by the looks of things. And that might do him, stand him in very good stead as throughout the season. If that's the kind of driver he wants to be. Calm, cool and collected and being nice and responsible on track. But yeah, I was about to say before
Mike goes in.
Interesting, Mike. Buisson is in. No longer going to be battling with Nigel. Nigel will be interested to see what he does in response to that, whether he comes in at the next lap. But yeah, Max Verstappen recently on his stream stopped his iRacing race mid-race, just came in at the pit and quit because his little stepdaughter, I think it's his stepdaughter, wanted to play tea party. And I thought that was worth it. Yeah, she came up and said, I want to play tea party. And he just gave up, left the race, and went to play tea party with his stepdaughter Penelope, which I thought was endearing, I have to say.
I hope that wasn't an endurance race. If you got your other teammates, might be a little bit upset about that. But if it's just a regular social race or something.
I think it was a regular social race, yeah. And, but I mean, he takes his sim racing very seriously, but I imagine he takes his fatherhood role for his stepdaughter even more seriously, as he should. I can't imagine him doing it in a real F1 race.
Was this his stepdaughter? I didn't know he had kids.
I believe it is. He is actually it's Nelson Piquet's daughter.
Okay.
I believe.
Yeah, that's right. Because that's his girlfriend at the moment, exactly, Nelson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not very au fait with my popular culture and that kind of thing, but it's come up in the articles I've read or people I'm talking to. It's not the kind of thing that I'm genuinely very interested in. I'm usually interested only in the racing. Personal lives of racers should be personal, really.
Because I remember back in the interview that they were having, one of those funny interviews, and you look them up on YouTube, of course, with the drivers. And there was Sebastian Vettel, of course, thinking about it. And also, Sebastian Vettel's one of those comedians on the grid, like Daniel Ricciardo and stuff. And he was talking to the other drivers about it. And I remember he was saying to Max was talking about being in free practice, of course, as in not having any kids yet. And as Vettel, I think, was just around that time of having second kid or first kid or something like that. But yeah,
I think it changed Vettel, to be honest, as well, because I've followed Formula One since I was a kid, and Vettel winning his 4 championships before he had children. Then he had children, and then no longer able to compete, even in Ferrari's not been able to compete for a long time, but at some point Vettel definitely had a competitive Ferrari. Whether or not it was a legal competitive Ferrari is another matter in 2019. But he never won a championship after he had children, I believe, Vettel. And I think it changes drivers sometimes. We've got May in the pits at the moment, though, in his lovely elf colour cars. My uncle used to work for that company, believe it or not. And,
really?
yeah, over in Greece, I believe it was, working at the refinery just outside of Athens.
They used to sponsor back in the day, like the Brabham team and a few others, didn't they? I remember.
Yeah, they were all over the place. I think they've gone bust now, I believe, as a company, or been swallowed up by one of the other larger companies, such as Halliburton or something like that. But Behan still on the back of Gonzaga, so Kiriakopoulos got past Gonzaga in short order, and his normal service resumed for Gonzaga and Behan, and they're going to continue their battle. And it's been interesting, this race. There's been a few very interesting battles coming up, and it's the same drivers time and time again. And May already has his 2 stops as well, and interesting to see where his brother. I wonder where his brother is. It's a very wide line there from Gonzaga. A poor exit, and it looks like Behan is going to try and take advantage of that. He's looking at the inside now, coming into the heel, and is he going to send it here? It looks like he's alongside significantly, and he backs out of it. Looks like he's not a particularly aggressive driver, is Behan. He's happy to back out and give up the position and live to fight another day, is Andy. And Jorge, on the other hand, seems to be a lot more aggressive and brave. And that remains to be seen who's going to win the day with those 2 very, very different styles. We have the Max Verstappen and the Valtteri Bottas here of Radical Sim Racing going at it hammer and tongs. But in my experience in sim racing, it's usually the guy who's sensible and lives to fight another day that overall wins out majority of the times. The guys who are more aggressive, while they may win a position here or there or win a nice tight battle, from time to time generally they end up in the wall more often than not, and that can be a lot more damaging to a championship than just losing a position because you were a bit looks like maybe that's the barrier as well, at the top of turn 3, where maybe Kiriakopoulos bumped that barrier. It's the only barrier I can see that's close, possibly the barrier on the entry to inner loop as well.
Is Jose there? Gonzaga in the 113 machine, looking over the rear wing that says insert name here. That's his racing team, of course. He's got that fantastic JP Broadcasting logo right there splashed on the wing there. So good on him, of course. Once again, we are broadcasting this on JP Broadcasting as well too as the Radicals channel. It's also be broadcast at multiple places. Obviously, this is the European division. We do have the Americas coming up, and I'll be also presenting that one. So if you want to stay up really late in Europe and watch it, or watch it back later, of course, is this battle still. Once again, these 3 have been separated by nothing, which is also going to say synchronized driving. Is to show you a lot of skill level, isn't it? Because if one driver makes a mistake, all of a sudden those other 2 drivers could be involved in that, and all of a sudden you've got nobody from the Sim RC leading this race anymore. But
yeah,
perfection has
certainly doesn't look as though these guys are battling particularly hard with each other at all. The same as Behan, who's very quick, and it looks to be quicker than Jorge, because Jorge Gonzaga is doing a very good job defending, not giving up that position particularly easily. But I get the feeling that if Behan gets past, he's going to disappear. Disappear. But maybe they're waiting for the pit stops. Maybe he's waiting for Gonzaga to pit early and maybe then beat him through that method. But Behan looks to be at least 3/10 a lap quicker. The fastest lap is 3/10 a lap quicker, and I think he's got more in the tank that he's showing at the moment. He's being very conservative here at Watkins Glen in New York, and it's
well, he's also got Stephen placed behind him too, so I think he's got to get a little bit of a move on. Because Stevie, remember, has made a pit stop there, so Stephen is catching him pretty quickly now. Look at this, just on board.
He's probably going to give it up like he did with Kiriakopoulos. I think he'll give it up, and I don't know whether or not these guys are probably talking to each other. They're all in the iRacing VC together. A lot of them use it. So maybe they're talking and saying, no, not here. We'll do it next. As Buisson is now lapped after his stop as well. we've got a number of stops still to be made. We've got Klusik, Behan, Gonzaga, Rolliston, Blanco, Bremer, Walters, Nigel, McCutchinson, Bertie, Isaacson and Frank, all yet to stop. They're all looking to probably run long, as they did in Sebring. And yeah, a number of these guys who've already got 2 stops probably had damage of some description, and look to get out of the way early, or maybe look to get into clean air early if they were entangled in a lot of traffic or some battles that maybe felt were costing them too much time.
Well, here's Alex, who's been in the pit road for at least 6 minutes of change right now, so no fast repairs, but the German driver is sitting there just chilling right now. Is he in the car? Yes, he is, so he's still taking these repairs. He does realise you've got 40 minutes left in this race, so you definitely want to do it. And there's Andy coming in right now, so that's going to answer that question of that battle that has been brewing with George, right, Jose?
Interesting to see, yeah, be Jorge or George in Spanish, but yeah, be interesting to see where he comes out after Gonzaga pits as well, and whether or not Behan has the pace on track to do the undercut as well. But we have got 2 drivers out. Arturas Kundelis did not manage to get started. Don't know what happened there. I think he had some similar issues in the previous race as well. Didn't get going. And Kim Holberg, we saw him take a very hard dive into a barrier in the inner loop as well, and he has not been able to get going again. He is out of this race. Look at Alex Roggenbuck as well. Is currently sitting in the pits getting his repairs, as mentioned. Vinick as well.
This
not had the
up
best
car
race.
up the
Down 8
road there.
position.
See the rear wing. Sorry to cut you off that. So, quite sure who that is, but this is a battle here with Daniel Pescado, the Italiano, who's got Mike up the road there for Team Redline now. They've made their pit stops between these 2 drivers. When they made their pit stops quite different. I think it was 17 and 25. Mike took his on lap 25, so that's 17 there for the Italian driver.
Daniel Cascaro and Mike Busen, but I believe Mike Busen has the pace. He's got a much faster, quickest lap by almost 8/10 there, so he'll probably create that gap. As you see, it's going up and up and up to Cascaro. It's already up to a second now. It seems to be getting away nicely is Buson, but be interesting to see where he comes out. He was in a very heavy fight with Nigel as well, or Nagel in P5 at the moment. He was yet to stop. Be interesting to see how that pans out, as we're seeing it's very different. His place is back in the pit lane, going in for his second stop. So I'm wondering, he's got a bit of damage to the car there as well. Yeah, so maybe a bit of contact there. I wonder, did he use his fast pit repair in the first stop as well? He pitted very early for that pit stop, and I wonder if that was nope. There's the flash repair. Clink. Car is perfect. Looks like he's filling up some fuel as well. Look to get to the end of the race now without any incident, because he will have to spend a lot of time in the pits repairing any damage. Scribner overtakes him on track as he gets past.
Yeah, I did see definitely use a fast repair, because you see it instantly go like that. But I'm just wondering where he got that damage there, because I don't see anything from race control.
Don't know, but it is the left side of the car, so the final corner and the exit to I believe it is
does he have damage here? No.
Toe.
This is
but
earlier back.
Final corner is definitely a place you could definitely get the damage from, for sure. It's very easy to run wide there. You've got to use all of the track in that turn 11, and the wall looms large, and if you get it even slightly wrong, carry a little bit too much speed, it's almost impossible to scrub that speed once you've committed to your line out of that final corner. So very easy to hit that wall. But in order to be quick, like these top guys are, running in the 139s, almost flat at the moment now, as well as they run lower on fuel. Getting quicker and quicker as time goes on. You have to run very, very close to that wall and use all of the track. Look at these guys. I mean, you watch them on board with these for a little while, and you see how much of the track they actually use. They use every centimetre of available circuit, and they also, as you heard there, that little odd sound there, clutching in, which I believe was changed recently, but it'll be a habit hard to break for these guys at 8K to save fuel. But I do believe that they changed that with a recent patch, whereby clutching in saves a lot less fuel than it used to. It's more about lifting as it stands. It's Clark is in the pits for his second pit stop, I believe.
Yes,
and,
it is.
He's got a little bit of damage that he fast repairs as well. So not a lot of drivers can change the tyres as well. But not a lot of drivers getting through this unscathed. But those top guys at the top 9 drivers at the moment, no stops for them. Currently running away with things. 17-second gap to Kyriakopoulos, who has made a stop. Kyriakopoulos is bound to jump a driver or two when they make their stops. But interesting race. It's all settling down a little bit and calming down a little bit as Buson gets past Clark as he sits in the pits. He's now coming out to the pit exit. Yeah, interesting race so far. 36 minutes remaining, and we're now starting to see the strategy and pit stop strategy come into play much more heavily. We've got another driver in the pit. It is Bremer for his first stop. He's been in a race-long battle as well, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out and who finishes where. But Christensen has been very well. He's managed to catch up a bit of the time that he lost in that incident early on. We didn't see what happened to him, but maybe we'll find out if he gets onto the podium, and we'll do an interview for him. But so far, so good for him in this race. He's got some very quick drivers ahead of him, and I mean, it's unusual for a 6.5k driver to be able to compete with these 7-8k drivers. These front three are all absolutely rapid in comparison to the rest of the grid, and you would expect them to be there. But a second gap now to Frank to Isaacson.
It's a very long pit stop here. I'm just wondering if he's taken on a lot of fuel. No tyres that I see. As you can see, another driver going. Oh, big dinged up there on the back there of Nihad. I'm not quite sure. Oh, there's the flag there, and just wondering what the flag was. And yeah, he's definitely dinged up a bit there. Doesn't get that one prepared. And Connor's in. So yeah, Bremer did eventually come back out. I think he's coming out now, if I'm not mistaken. It's hard to see with these angles that they're not giving us with the TV cameras right now. Yes, he's back out.
Certainly is.
Oh, there you go. So Connor's in there in the pit road. That looks like that front jack is up and back down. And the rear should go up if he takes the rear tyres. Yep, they do. And there's Nihad taking the repairs too. So the car's all spanking brand new and back out. So that was definitely a quick repair. Once again, we're still waiting to see when are our leaders going to go in. There's starting a bit of a gap between them now. They weren't as close as they were. Under a second each. As you said, Adam here, currently at the moment, he needs to get a race win, doesn't he? He can't afford to let Frank get this in the championship hunt.
I would definitely start creating distance between them as well. But I wonder if Isaacson knows that maybe he's not going to make every race, and he's going to win it by virtue of consistency, as we see a backmarker getting out of the way nicely there. I believe the rules state that you've got to make every available effort in this league to get out of the way, so it's more like F1 than iRacing's rules. It's just polite as well.
Don't talk to James about the blue flag rules. He gets fired up, of course, and if you've watched plenty of the broadcasts here on the JPBroadcasting Network, then you're going to be very aware that the man himself, the boss man, James, and his blue flag debates.
A contentious debate. A lot of people look at the iRacing rules and the sporting code and say, nah, blue flags are just informational, they don't mean anything. But they do. It says in the rules and the sporting code, make every reasonable effort to not get in the blue flag driver's way, so that you've got to pretty much give it up. You can't really fight. If you're quicker and you're wanting to unlap yourself, you can definitely do that, and you don't have to then move out of the way like F1 drivers do with the blue flag. Excuse me. You can certainly unlap yourself, but you've got to make every reasonable effort. You cannot defend from the guy behind if they're giving you a blue flag. You've got to make every reasonable effort. If they go for the inside, you've got to give them it. Don't turn in on them. Don't block or defend. I think a lot of iRacers don't really understand that section of it. You see a lot of it on Reddit, people saying to themselves, no, it's informal, informational only, you don't have to move. Yes, you do. That's the answer to that, the short answer. I get pretty worked up about it as well, and I have to say this week I had somebody who was faster than me at the Virginia International Raceway in an MX-5 when I was in the Toyota GR, and he got past me, and then unlapped himself, but he was 2 laps down, so he got past me, unlapped himself, and then braked hard for the blue flag.
Oh, wow.
To let me back past again, and I almost rammed him off the track because I had no idea he was going to do that. The big thing about blue flags, from my perspective, is predictability. Be predictable. It doesn't matter whether you're fast or slow or whatever, just be predictable. Stay on the racing line.
Too, isn't it, about, as you said, the unlapping thing? So if you come on really clearly slow, let's say, for example, you come back out, you got, fresh boots and great tires and stuff like that, and then you're wanting to unlap yourself, as you said, but then having to get that you're having to relap them, and that's the very, very tricky, as you said there. Like that's the difficult one, I think, for blue flags. It doesn't happen very often. Most of the time, generally, not really going to have somebody unlapping Unless you get more into those endurance races and stuff like that, of course, then you start to see them a bit more.
Certainly do, and it was a short-ish race there at in the production car sim lab challenge. But I was happy to let the guy go. I don't mind a blue flagged car unlapping themselves. It was the unpredictable nature of what he did then, and the guy then proceeded to pump me off into turn 1 as well. So very unfortunate, and that's the last thing you want to do as a lapped car. If you're blue, as you see on the timer screen's left-hand side there, you can see a lot of blue cars there. You've got that blue thing on your name on your relative screen. The last thing you want to do is hit somebody who's white. It is very poor form.
So both David Rolsons is in, as well as Andy. Remember, Andy just came in a little bit before, didn't he? I think, if I'm not mistaken, was Andy who came in before? No, it wasn't. It's the Dutch driver of Bremer. That's right, yeah. So mixed up because they're similar liveries.
Certainly was. I've forgotten because my memory, I'm getting old. The dementia's starting to settle in. And I forgot who Bremer was battling with in the early stages of the race. I think it might have been Kiriakopoulos, was it not? Was he all over? Or was it somebody else that was battling with Kiriakopoulos? I cannot remember for the life of me.
Jose, I think. Jose? Wasn't Jose? They currently...
That was Bihan and Jorge Gonzaga. Bihan and Jorge Gonzaga, they were the two that were battling for a long, long period of time. Gonzaga still yet to make his stop. And Bihan is currently down in P22 as well, with a lot of drivers in front. And maybe that isn't going to work out for him so well. Biggest winner of the day so far is Jorge Gonzaga. He's managed to gain 10 positions, but a lot of drivers have pit behind him where he has not.
David!
Oh,
David has done a Dan, perhaps. A Dan, one of our casters, and into the pit lane entrance is not the way you want to do it. That's where you can actually check out the YouTube shorts about that, Dan having a moment crashing into the pit entrance in one of his races.
Ocean Chief in chat says up the bab. Glad to see, great to see here, Ocean Chief. And yeah, we know that one as a Joel. It crashing into the pit entry as a fast repair goes there onto the Tiger car.
Let's have a look at the replay of this.
He looks like he's getting a bit of fuel on board as well as the fast repair. But great to see you here, Chief.
Oh no!
Oh, he hits the back of the driver in front.
Yeah,
he
that's
slows down too much. Oh, that is very unfortunate. That's going to be a hefty penalty. That is definitely on the car behind. 99% of the time, if you hit the car in front, it's your fault. It's you've got to make the adjustment. If they brake early, you've got to make the adjustment. It's not really a brake check if you're coming into a braking zone. That is very unfortunate for Walters. I imagine that's going to be maybe a penalty, maybe a 5-second, maybe something. I don't know if we've got live stewards. We have live stewards in this league. I am not sure. So that might be a penalty after the fact, maybe sometime there. But
John's in.
Yeah, as I said.
Oh, who's in behind him?
John McCutcheon.
And David, I think, is going in as well too. Yep, there it is. So yeah, sorry, apologies about that one then, David. It wasn't your fault. You didn't do it, Dan. It's the driver, which you can clearly see before, that had a little bit too slow going there. But then again, what is it? I mean, can you get a penalty for? I mean, was he going too fast in the pit lane? Was the driver ahead going too slow? I
don't think it matters who was going too fast or too slow. All that matters is the guy behind hit the guy in front, and he was the one who could avoid the contact. The guy in front can't avoid the contact, really, can he? Place all over the back of LeMay, side by side now into the heel, I believe it is, that they're heading towards. Or is it? No, it is the chicane, double chicane, and looks like Place gets that position. LeMay just looking after his race at the moment.
It's got a bit of damage you can just see on that rear wing.
Yeah, tiny little bit of a kink in that, isn't it, on the left-hand side. So something's not gone quite right for him. Yeah, as Nightbot reminds me that we have a new Instagram here at JPBroadcasting, and you can go over there, follow that if you are an Instagram user. I myself, no, I don't.
Yeah, I have it. I don't use it very much. On Twitter, of course, I'll tweet these out. I didn't tweet this race out there. Yeah, Ocean Chief, I saw you in the chat there. G'day, mate.
Great. Always supporting fellow sim racers. Is Ocean Chief. I don't know where the man finds the time.
Isn't he? He's quick. Isn't he? Oh, you're not going to agree with that.
P10 is his favourite position, but he's still talking about P10 in a Tier 1 league in the F1 scene that is absolutely rapid. They've had some very, very quick drivers in that SLR championship, which I'll definitely try and big up if anybody's watching wants to get involved in F1 league. It's one of the best around. Always in need of drivers. Always
since the crack of dawn, hasn't it? How many seasons it's been
now? Well, I've been involved in it since 2019 or so, commentate there regularly as well. But yeah, some rapid drivers over in that league, including a few esports drivers that people may have heard. Tino being the most recent one, a Finnish driver who was racing in esports. And I cannot pronounce his surname because it's a very long Finnish one, so I'm not even going to try. But we also had Luke Smith as well, who is now currently racing in esports and PSGL top split. And he over there in F1 is he was very rapid. Didn't win a championship, which tells you how quick other drivers are there. We have front headlights on at the moment as we head into the final 25 minutes of what has been a very entertaining, very dramatic and drama-filled race with lots of incidents. And Birdie has managed to pull off the back of these two now as well. These two are starting to really maybe get to the business end of this race and starting to battle a bit more, trying to push each other a little bit more, as the fastest lap went to Isaacson in the last lap as well. So Isaacson really starting to turn the screw and put a bit of pressure on Frank. And but I doubt Frank is going to be phased by that in the slightest. An 8K rating iRacing is kind of lifted a little bit there at the wrong point, did Isaacson, and that's lost him a little bit of time. But he's still got the toe, and the pressure is going to start to mount as the race goes on for Frank. But he's been here before, many times I imagine, with 8K iRating, and he knows what he needs to do if he defends well. But the more these guys battle and fight, the more Birdie's going to maybe come into it. And it looks like none of these guys have made a stop yet. Hutchins has made his stop, Kiriakopoulos has made his stop, Gonzaga yet to make his, as well as Blanco is looking to get past him here up the inside into turn 5, I believe that is, the out loop down into turn 6. They shoot, and Blanco gets past Gonzaga. Kukaman, who looks like he's made the pit stop, has fresher tyres and all the rest. Lovely livery he's got there on that car, the Uruguayan. I have to say, I quite like that one. It looks like Two-Face from Batman.
Yeah, it does. This is this little squabble that's occurring here at the moment, because it's a Mike and a Make, and I think that's what the damage there, that there's Paul and May letting him past actually for the Two Brothers Racing team. So he said, not at the moment, I'm going to deal with that situation. Still have time later on to work with.
Not his race, Paul and May will be saying in his helmet there. He's got a little bit of damage there on the back quarter, as we've mentioned, and that'll be slowing him down a little bit. Paul LeMay written on the side of his helmet. That's fantastic stuff. And yeah, if you look at this, you say,
give us a
not
wave.
my race. You look pretty dead to me, to be honest. If you it looks like bored out of his skull.
Now this might be crucial here, because what's happened here to our Dutch driver, Bremer. Now, as we're seeing this, he hit the chicane on the outside there, and there it is. That's a bit of a carbon copy, but I think he's kept it out of the fence. Yes.
Well saved, to be honest. Yeah, exactly. He's kept it out of the barriers and got it back pointing the right way very quickly as well. Lost a position, did he, to David Walters there?
Yes.
Maybe? I'm not sure, but yeah. He'll be looking to retake that, I imagine, before the end. The next 20 minutes is up.
Look at this. Look how close they are now. You got to think whether or not Adam is going to look at trying to take an overtake there as Frank and a hold up. What are they going to do as well, too? You'd expect that you can't just keep matching this pace right now. Somebody's going to have to take an undercut or an overcut. You know that the tyres must be starting to fall off the cliff between these two drivers, because they're yet to make a pit stop, as you can see. The top
I'm not sure if the tyres will ever hit the cliff. I think it's quicker to make the change in the pit stop.
Let's go back to David. Now, David, just before that, is ahead of Bremer, but what's happened to David? Is this contact? Oh, whoa. That rear completely lifted up there and
took a little bit too much curb. I think maybe he got over the curb entirely, and that's unsettled the car heavily. We've mentioned this before already. We'll probably see it again in the remaining 20 minutes. That inner loop and curbs and bumps, these cars do not like, and can catch even the best drivers out. Walters was in a very good position, and that could cost him a position or two maybe to his rivals around him who have pitted. And yeah, it's tricky to see what's going to happen here. We're getting into the business end of this race. See how close Isaacson and Frank get to that wall out of turn 11 as well. It's great to see as the battle is raging between these two, and they're swapping fastest lap after fastest lap, lap after lap. So as Birdie comes in at the pit lane as well. So the guy in the first guy to blink out the front three of the Sim RC team is now going for it. They all have to make two stops as well. And it's worth mentioning as well, in case we've forgotten from Sebring, that you cannot make one of those mandatory pit stops in the last 10 minutes. It's just a stop and go for Bernie.
Not taking any tyres or any or fuel, yeah.
No, he'll be coming back. He'll be going back round, coming back in the next lap maybe, and going for it again. I wonder. Nigel is now in the pit lane for his first stop as well, and loses out to McHutchison. But that was already the case. He was already behind before the pit stops came into play.
Yeah, he's turned off his visor there, so he's taken off the tinted one and he's put the clear one on.
Maybe he's got sunglasses on, and who knows? Buisson on the back of Place as well. So has to make another stop as well. So Place has managed to do things well so far in terms of getting that very, very early pit stop, and then going for another pit stop mid-race, taking his tyres and fuel then. He'll be going to the end from it here as it stands, and he's going to get Bremer and possibly Walters as well after they make their pit stops. Gonzaga has got 2 to make as well. He'll probably get them. So Place, Stephen Place, the Canadian man, could very well be in for a strong finish here. Could possibly catch a couple of people further up the lane. Gonzaga makes his first pit stop as well, and it was, I believe, Behan that he was racing with as well. Behan's made 2 stops, so he will not catch him in this stop, I believe, but
Where is...
worth keeping an eye on.
There is, yeah, I'm trying to see.
Behan is down in P19 at the moment.
P19, yeah.
Lap, but as I say, made the double stop as well. Duckworth in front of him has only made the 1, so he'll get that back. Scribner, Rolliston, Clark, May, and Place have all made 2. Cascado is actually out as well. We missed that. I'm not sure when that happened. Missed that entirely, but he's out of the race. 3 stops. It looks like he maybe did it in the pits. If that was his 3rd stop, maybe he got too much damage. Didn't fancy it. Maybe his electricity went off in his house or something like that. But pit exit now for Gonzaga. He gets out and back on track in lots of time, but looks as though Behan maybe is going to get him after the 2nd stop. Place on the back of Buisson. These guys maybe have similar pace, these guys, Place and Buisson. Place with a 139.7 fastest lap, and Buisson with a 139.2, so maybe Buisson has the beating of Place at the moment. He's managed to create the gap already. Nigel gets past McHutchison. McHutchison in the pit lane for his 2nd stop now. Kyriakopoulos coming into the pit lane for his 2nd stop as well, and it's all action in the pit lane as we get into the very end of this race. 19 minutes remaining
on as well, so we'll see whether or not Dennis looks to elect to do that.
Car in the background also taking tyres as well in a very awkward position as well. It's not very straight, is it? But you don't have to be straight.
Tyres for Dennis. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, tyres for Dennis Kyriakopoulos as well.
Yeah, that's the
seems to
bonsai.
be...
Yeah, they still didn't get that repair done because I think he already used the fast repair. That's Stefan down there in P24. And Dennis is going to drop a couple of these places, but of course that's going to start panning out as we get down to the... They do save the best for last, don't they, with this one? Because once again, we still have our 2 top drivers. And Bernie's taking his 2nd pit stop in here, so we'll see whether this is going to pan out there for Tim Bernie, because remember, they were all line astern, so they were separated by only just a couple of seconds. They'd have a little bit of a heat. Well, he dropped a couple of seconds just before that, but elected to take these 2 pit stops over his 2 teammates at the moment that hadn't taken their pit stops yet. So we'll see whether or not he can crank out some banking laps and maybe get the switcheroo on him. Interesting.
Possibility. The guys in front still going at Hamilton's the entire race so far. They've been pretty much within a second of each other. Isaacson actually gets past Frank there by the looks of the timing boards and takes the lead of the race.
Yes, you're right.
So that is job done for Isaacson, and now the pressure's on him. Jürgen Frank has to so get back past, and both guys maybe looking to go for a pit stop at any moment soon as well. They're going to have a very lot of time.
If he's going to clear up John here. Where's John? Coming down the main straight and exiting it out already, so that's just that's Birdie, so there's John. Maybe you can't see John in the background there, John. So John,
the gap was pretty large between those 2 before the pit stops anyway, so have to be a big mistake made by Birdie in order to lose out to John. Got a guy going very sideways, and into the barrier there is Buisson. It looks like it's car number 27. Buisson has hit the barrier, and I believe he already used a fast repair earlier on, I believe. I'm not sure, however. So that could be a big problem for him. Maybe losing himself quite a few points. He's got another pit stop to go, mandatory one. as Frank comes into the pits and Isaacson stays out. It's an interesting development in the race for the lead of this race.
Well, as well as this battle too, but remember that Ivan and Bremer has to make another splash and dash pit stop, so how much of a fight he's going to put up there. He will put up a fight for sure to Dennis, but it's interesting to see whether or not how much Dennis is going to want to hold him up here or not.
Confidence doesn't want to be stuck behind a guy with older tyres at all, but he doesn't necessarily want to fight this particularly hard. The Dutchman behind maybe doesn't want to go for the send either, because it's not his race. He's not racing this guy. He's got to stop to go still. His race really is with Buisson behind. Buisson was originally racing with Nigel as well, so that incident there for Buisson is not going to endear him in that fight at all. It's going to make that very difficult to win, but Nigel looking very good for a strong finish here. McCutcheon's also as well, after a rocky start to the season and a P2 last time out in Barber, is looking for a very good top 5 as it stands. Don't want to curse the man, but Bremer all over the back of Kyriakopoulos. Kyriakopoulos defends the inside by the looks of things for the next corner. It's going to be the heel, I believe, there, as he's eventually going to go try. He's going to make it go the long way around. It's impossible to do so in that corner because of the camber. Very difficult to deal with. If you're on the outside there, it will definitely be slower than the inside. But, pressure mounting as pit lane for Isaacson as he finally makes his stop. As let's see which way around he's going to do this. Is he going to do the stop and go first, or is he going to take the tyres first?
Looks like
he's going to take tyres at all. Looks like it's fuel going in for sure.
Yeah.
I wonder if any of these guys at the front, these three, were all so close to each other that if one of them decides not to take tyres, it's going to save them 5 or 15 seconds in the pits and could conceivably win them the race if those new tyres are not quick
enough. He's coming out, and look at this. Here's Frank. Frank's caught up in traffic here. Get ahead.
He's lost a lot of time, hasn't he, Frank? That is
look at that.
Big in terms of the race win. Frank's now going to put the hammer down, get a couple of quali laps in. He was stuck behind that car behind there with damage. I believe that's Walters as well, maybe. Was that car number 27 Walters? I'm not sure. Who got that damage earlier. I think he had quite seen the car. Yeah, so yeah, he got that damage a little earlier. Saw him going off track, but that is close. But look at that, already within the window. Isaacson coming out on colder tyres, maybe warm tyres as well. Whether or not Frank took tyres in his pit stop, I'm unsure. But the battle still rages on. Bremer and Kyriakopoulos still within touching distance as well, and Clark on the back of Buisson as well. Buisson still has to make a pit stop. That spin causing him major issues in dropping down the order as well. Fastest last sector there from Jürgen Frank. He's going to be piling on the pressure now to Isaacson. And can Isaacson, what can he do in this particular situation? We've yet to see him so far in this championship, in this situation, where he's having to defend the lead from a quicker driver. But I mean, these two guys are definitely on par with pace with each other. Only 200 I ratings separating the two of them. And so far this race, they are inseparable in terms of pace. A 138.48 fastest lap for Adam Isaacson and a 138.46 fastest lap for Jürgen Frank, giving him the fastest lap of the race so far. The only men to get into the 38 so far are the top 4. So Nigel doing very well to get in amongst that. But Hutchinson P4 as it stands after Nigel takes his second pit stop as well.
And he has started to catch up. Look at this. He's definitely starting to catch up quite quickly. So they've shaved out about, what was it, just shy of 2 seconds before. And further back into his Dennis and David Walters there. Well, there you go. These two drivers have to make the last pit stop as well too. So that would be interesting.
Bremer and Walters battling still. I wonder if it was those two that were battling earlier. I believe it was one of the Tiger cars, so I believe it was maybe. And he's still going to make another pit stop. There's only 2 minutes left for this mandatory pit stop, however. So everybody who's got one pit stop on the screen at the moment has to make another one in the next 2 minutes, or they will be disqualified from the race, I believe. Yeah. You cannot make your mandatory pit stop in the last 10 minutes of the race.
You see the damage there too on the Tiger Racing team. So at the back there, that's probably going to be costing. That's the reason why Bremer's going to try to roll on by as Rafael Belanco is coming in to take his final pit stop, which should just be a stop and go. I'm not quite sure if you think he did take tyres before. I'm trying to see his previous pit stop. Yeah, it was 25 seconds, so there should be a stop and go. Oh, but don't make... That looks like a quick fast repair as well, too. He missed his marker there. He did miss his marker. That costs a little bit of stop and go. Pit stop. For sure.
This is in Bremer got past Walters there as well in that amongst that, and goes into the pits as well for his last stop. So we're going to see a number of people now coming in for that last pit stop. Gonzaga as well, our biggest winner so far, 6. Well, Rafael Blanco still has a.
Look at this! They're both coming in on the same time again. So Isaac, of course, in the lead of this, he's got to be getting his marker perfectly. It's actually going to be a little bit more difficult from Frank because he has to spot his marker with a car in front. Look at this. They're going to be pulling up almost in the same pit box.
How slow is this pit lane as well? I mean, it looks they seem to be going trundling along a very slow speed.
Got to get
very
your
low
lollipop,
pit,
man. Bang. I think he's overshot it. Has he?
Stop and go. Isaacson is out first,
Yes.
and it's 1.3 second gap now to Frank. So Isaacson looks to have got the better of him in the pit stops there. But Frank's done this before once already. He's going to catch up. Can he catch up at the back of him? Isaacson needs to just qualify after qualify for the next 10 minutes. He's got a very, very fast driver behind him.
It's going to be close too for David. Look at this, David. Now, how much time has he got? 42 seconds. He's got to go on the pit road. And he's pretty far down at the moment. Where is it on the map there? Number 9. You can see. That's going to be pretty close.
Can't tell where he is on the track personally because I cannot see the track map and my screen. Only see it on the
he's coming.
stream.
This is going to be he's got 20 seconds. He's going to cross this line.
I don't know where it. I honestly don't know the rule. It's a very vague rule, that really is it. At what point is it considered you didn't do it within 10 minutes? He's got it. If he gets, I don't think he's going to get to the pits before that 10 minutes is up. There's the entry.
Yeah,
and he's not
he doesn't
going
go in. And he's only taken one pit stop.
Forgotten.
He's
forgotten.
He must have. That's probably going to be looking like a disqualification. Stevie Place will get past him now. But that's very, very interesting as to what's happened there. That was the rules that we were aware of course, is that you have to make both your pit stops done, but 10 minutes remaining in the race, and now it's under 10 minutes. He hasn't made the pit stop. In fact, he's not the only one, because Mike is also...
Harazki, Gonzaga, Buson and Walters all not made their pit stops in time. So that could be 4 drivers here that get disqualified from the standings at the end of this race. You can still make the pit stop now, but you're not allowed to make one of your 2 mandatory pit stops in the last 10 minutes. So one of the rules of the league, and these guys have all missed it. And I am not 100% clear on what the penalty is for missing.
It's got to be interesting because we are in round 4 now, so it's not like this is the first round. You know, when people get a little bit confused with how those rules are panning out. They are aware of it right now. Dress rehearsals have been over for some time, and making those mistakes is something that drivers shouldn't do, especially considering how high up they are. I mean, you got Mr. Walters, of course, in P9, Busen in P11. There's a great position that potentially you could be disqualified from, or whatever the time penalty might be dished out to you after.
It's a possibility. It could be a hefty time penalty as well. Unfortunately, you don't have the rule book handy at the moment. I shall remember to have that handy for all future races for situations such as this. I've asked in the general chat as well, see if we can get any kind of response so we can give our viewers clarity on that situation. But Frank, within half a second, has managed to close the gap onto Isaacson. And the final 8 minutes we go, we have got a very tasty race spicing up for the win in this race. And if Isaacson wins this, they are going to go level on points in the championship, I believe. 98 points to 100 points for Jürgen Frank. So that would mean a 2-point difference in Isaacson's favour. It means they go joint first. Paul Clark, who's having a very good race down there in P10 at the moment, would drop out of the top 3 because Rudolf Nagel will overtake him. John McHutchinson will also overtake him as well. We've got no Alfredo Melo R. But Tim Bertie will also gain some good positions here as well as P3, which is where he has finished every single race he's raced so far. He finishes P3 there, and he's 9 seconds now off the back of these guys as well. So I wonder if he's had a couple of mistakes, or maybe just taking the spot off the guys, knowing that he can't catch up to these guys. They just seem to be a level above these Frank and Isaacson. But it means very interesting, very exciting racing from our point of view, because Frank all over the back of Isaacson, Bremer all over the back of Rolliston as well. Here, and positions to be gained. These guys are both fighting for position also, and they've both made their pit stops. So it's going to be very, very intriguing how this is going to finalise in the end here, as it's starting to get dark in New York. The headlights starting to shine very bright.
It is. This is the sun's going to set on this race. Or actually, the Earth's rotating away from the sun. If you want to be more specific about that. The Earth is not the center of the galaxy anymore.
We're going to go into another physics lesson this time.
Yes, we are.
Last time we were commentating together, we had a little bit of a physics lecture, and yeah, physics that matter most at the moment is whether or not Frank's quick enough to get past Isaacson. Isaacson is going to defend that for his life, I imagine. 8/10 now the gap. Is he going to be able to get it done? Is he going to risk sending it somewhere and maybe risk taking each other out? You've got to take risks to win races.
Maybe.
And if Frank wins this, it's going to be difficult for Isaacson to catch
replay
up.
of Andy here. So I haven't seen too much of the Triple P machine there, 42. But this is going to be... Is this hitting the curb too much? Bang, there it is. We've seen that a couple of times.
Several times, yeah. Well, let's keep it out of the barrier because it's difficult to get the car stopped once you're out of control like that. You're just a passenger. But not the first or the last person. He's going to stay out of the way of that guy there. Yeah. I think maybe spinning back onto the track a bit there, but he's got going again, and no problems there. LeMay in the pit stop for a
look at the interesting thing. Whoa! There's an overtake.
Isaacson on. Frank doesn't defend it well enough. Frank gets past, and that's into inner.
And what's interesting is that they're about to approach these two cars. Of course, they're Bremer as well, and Rollinson. So they're just up the road. So how much are these other drivers going to yield, especially because they're battling themselves to allow these leaders coming through here?
Is Isaacson going to be able to take advantage of that? If Frank has to get off the throttle in the wrong place as well, maybe he can get alongside and cause Frank something to think about, really. But very interesting as well that Paul LeMay has gone down to P24 in the pits at the moment, down 5 laps. He's crashed and got some damage, maybe. He's been in the pits a while, I imagine.
Yeah, I don't see anything from race control with that one, but definitely I'd like to do something. So there's 2 battles, as I mentioned, that are brewing up.
It's been in there 13 minutes.
Look where they are. See, this is the battle up the road. We said he had the battle for P12 and 13, and there is now Adam just behind there. So we'll see if they're not going to be catching up to them in time, because we've got 4 minutes and change to go. A really off-track excursion there from Frank. As his Adam's got to. You said they're going to be tight on points if Adam can get this race win. He's going to give everything he got right now. We wanted to see this racing a little bit earlier, guys, but why not save the best for last? And here we go.
Side by side, it's going into the inner loop as well. It's a very dangerous place to go side by side. Is anybody going to give it up? No. Jürgen Frank takes the inside line and keeps ahead. And I believe that was. Oh my word!
That's the crash from the 2 cars ahead that we're battling it out. Remember, and that's just cost everybody to go pole shaped on that one.
And Isaacson has come off the worst, absolutely the worst 6 seconds he's lost there. Gets out very out of shape as he tried to touch that. I imagine he has got a very big stain in his underpants at the moment.
This is the accident from before. This is Guy. Actually, this is Guy that's gone around here. We saw that. I think we saw that one before. No, this is.
Oh, that's just getting a bit out of shape on that last one, and then he's on his own there. And then look at these guys. Oh, gets clipped there from the guy in front. And then these are the 2 leaders coming up behind them as well. And that was so harsh on Adam Isaacson there. He got very out of shape. Did very well to save it and stay out of the barrier, but it means it's lost the win. And that's how quickly things can change. One guy loses it, ends up in the wrong place. He did the right thing. He stayed still.
Well, Ivan spun by himself here as well. So this is another one. And that's what...
Ivan Bremer, big loss for him as well. He's towed back to the pits as well, so a bit of damage for him maybe.
Oh, Frank's going in. Why is Frank going in?
I wonder if it's because maybe he clipped. It looks like maybe he's got a bit of a bent front right wing there. Maybe he's coming in for damage or something like that. I wonder if he got meatballed. Maybe he got meatballed. That's the only reason I can think. You must have got meatballed. Isaacson now leads this race. A 2-second lead over Bertie, and Isaacson now takes the lead of the championship again. And that's a big problem for Frank because he loses 6 or 7 points now, 8 points now. The 2-point difference between each position in this championship means that he's lost out big time to Isaacson in the championship. Who knows? We're going to have to, we may not find out as well if we don't interview the P4 as well. He's got a couple of minutes left. 2 minutes remaining. It's all happening in the final stages of this race, and the focus is just being lost a little bit here. I can't hardly believe my eyes what's just happened there. We had a fantastic race battle, and it's all going to be anything can happen in racing.
Yeah, it does.
And it's not his fault, really. The guy who spun. I mean,
I'm having a
what
look
can
at
you
this
do about it?
replay before when that. So this is when that. Remember, they're side by side at this point. They're going to lift off through here, but there's a spinning car up the road, and that's. Then they make a little bit of contact, really desperately trying to avoid each other. So it doesn't look like he got a lot of damage there, Frank, on the back there, as he continues up the road.
Though. Bit of net. There was a bit of a gap there on my screen. A bit of net code. So and then there's a guy getting out of the way. His car doesn't look particularly difficult to control.
If he doesn't lose it or anything around here, we still have it just a minute or so. We'll go back, obviously, to Adam soon. Just wanted to see, because he goes into the pit road in this one, doesn't he? On this lap. So we don't quite know why. We'll speak to the drivers about that soon.
If he's bent his steering rack or his suspension's out, his toes out of thing, it looks a bit like...
Mike's unfortunately had a crash too, so I think just before we go over to our race leader, taking this one, what's happened to Mike Boosen now? Remember, we think that Mike might be disqualified anyway from this race because he only took the one pit stop, but is this the classic? Oh no, actually that's off camper going into the wall there.
Yeah, that's the exit to turn 1, I believe, isn't it? So that's where that big thick curb is. Bit of damage there, and that might be his race pretty much done because he won't have time now to fix any of that. He may lose quite a few positions. He's in the pits. Is Mike Buisson, and he's dropped heavily there as well. Lemay also, with his incident as well, has dropped heavily out of the points. Doesn't take advantage over his brother in the championship stakes. Oh, well, he's just taking a bit of advantage just by virtue of being here and finishing the race. He's been in the pits a long time, 18 minutes now, 17 minutes. So as Lemay been in the pits, but 7 seconds remaining. This is going to be the final lap if this is not the checkered flag lap for our race at Watkins. Glen and Isaacson is going to win it, and by virtue of the fact that Frank had to pit, loses 3 positions. Biggest winner so far this race is Blanco, the Uruguayan, who we've mentioned several times, who's gained 9 positions in this race as well. And it's like through final sectors comes Isaacson, comes down through the final penultimate corner. This is turn 11, comes across the pit entry, and there it is, the finish line, and he's going to go to the inside weave, get to the pit crew, give them a wave as he crosses the line P1, and does so, I believe, with the fastest lap with a 138.48 as well. Oh no, it is Jürgen Frank who's taking the fastest lap by 200ths, which is how tight these guys were in the race as well. Absolutely fantastic racing there. Bertie, and McHutchison gets himself a podium after a rocky start to his season. He's managed to get a very good strong finish there and beat Frank out as well. I mean, Frank had to make that pit stop. He lost 3 positions because of it. The only reason I can think of is he had a meatball flag and he had to serve that pit stop. He had to repair.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure iRacing will disqualify you if you don't pit under a meatball flag, but I don't know how many laps or time you get to do that, and whether or not he had enough time to get at the end of the race before the meatball flag disqualification came into effect. What goes on with that? But what an exciting race. What a finale to that race as well. Drama. It's unfortunate for Frank because it was in his hands, and it got taken out of his hands. Not sure who it was who spun either. Do you have any information on that?
Who spun? I think that was the battle up the road, wasn't it? That was what we were talking about. David Rolson, I think. I'm not sure if David spun it. We'll try to get back and have a look at the replay of that one. So we're still waiting for those drivers, and there's David speaking of him right now. The only driver yet to cross the line. Everybody else has already been a lap down.
Buisson and Bremer both out as well by the looks of things. Well, did not finish the line, but because they've done the majority of the race, I imagine they'll still get qualified or classified and gain their points. That's the way it works in most racing leagues.
So there you have it. Well, yep. So the Flying Finn, Sweden. Sorry, oops. My apologies. He's going to murder me for that one. The Swedish, the Flying Swede is got it done, isn't it? Like once again, we're not 100% sure that close battle he had with Jürgen Frank. Tim Verdi, of course. Well, this is the first time you said Tim Verdi got a P2 finally, isn't it? Because he usually gets a P3.
Yeah, this is the first time he hasn't finished P3 at all. Donuts here from Isaacson. Fantastic display. Keeps it out of the wall very well as well. tell you something. In car control here. Does a little ballet for us.
And why not?
Fantastic. But yeah, wow. Like, I can barely catch my breath after that one, and that finale, and it's even a little bit of a bitter taste in my mouth there, how Frank's lost that one, but I'm sure Adam Isaacson won't care a jot. He was just be happy that he's won. He also had a big incident and problems there with that car stranded in the middle of the track and they were battling as well. They would have been thinking only about the car side by side of them. They wouldn't have been thinking, oh, maybe at the end of this double chicane, there's going to be a car sideways in the middle of the track right on the racing line. So it would have caught them both by surprise, and it would have been a definite code brown.
Would you like to go through our race results there at the moment? Unofficial, of course, barring all that sort of stuff, but you can find that, of course, by joining the Radical Sim Racing by going to that website. But yeah, over to you, my friend.
Yeah,
there,
Adam Isaacson takes the victory here. Tim Bertie with his highest finish of the season so far in P2. John Hutchinson gets his second back finish so far after pinning P2 last time out. He gets P3 here. 2 podiums in a row for him. He'll be very pleased with that, the Scotsman. Jürgen Frank will be very dissatisfied with his P4 after he was in the battle for the win and the championship, and that's going to be taking a bit of a knock now. Rudolf Nagel with a very tidy drive for SimRC Mozart gets P5 as well. Rafael Blanco with an absolutely terrific drive, gained 9 positions, I believe, this race. The biggest winner overall of positions in this race as well. It's then a couple of him in P7. Stephen Place with a tidy race as well, pitted early and drove his own race, kept things neat and tidy to come P8. Paul Clark gets P9 and does himself plenty of favours in terms of his championship charge, but he will lose out a few positions after people have come back. David Walters, with a couple of incidents, has managed to finish P10, Rollison P11. Jorge Gonzaga with some great battling there with Bihan in the end, but didn't work out for Bihan. That pit stop earlier. Jorge managed to hold on to the position a lap down as he is, but Connor Scribner gets P13. Unlucky for some, but not for him. P14 for Nihad Glishik, and Andy Bihan ends up in P15 in the end. So he loses a few positions after his early pit stop. Didn't work out for him in the end. Maybe got caught in traffic. Jason Duckworth, P16, one of his best finishes of the league so far, I believe. Mike Bousson did not go well for him after a couple of incidents. P17 in the end. Arnie Hugel in P18, 14 PPP. I love saying that. And yeah, carrying on, Miro Huraski finishes P19. Vinik in P20. Stefan Mellis in P21. And Ivan Bremer did not finish the race under his own power. Neither did Robson, I believe, who ended up 4 and 5 laps behind. And then we've got Roggen, Buck, LeMay, Cascado, Holberg, and Kundelis, who all finished the race in the pits a long way down. And I believe Cascado, Holberg, and Kundelis didn't finish at all. They were out of the race entirely. I don't know whether or not LeMay is going to get classified because he finished the race in the pits, but missed opportunity for him to gain big points over his brother, but he will gain points nonetheless. I believe the top 25 drivers gain points in this league.
Correct, yeah.
So I think we can pull in Mr. John, the Hutch himself. He's waiting patiently for an interview. And
certainly is. And it's a second podium in a row for Scotsman. And you must be very pleased with that. You've got that at the death after Jürgen Frank had a bit of an incident there. But things are starting to come together for you, aren't they, John?
Yeah, not bad, Stephen. Good. What happened to Jürgen today? Got a drive-through?
No, there was an incident coming out of the double chicane, the inner loop, whereby he was battling hard with Adam Isaacson for the win. And as they came out, there was a car span and stranded there, and they both had to avoid it. And I think a bit of netcode just got Jürgen Frank clipped. I think maybe, we don't know for sure, but he had to pit. I think he had a meatball flag because of it. And yeah, very unfortunate from his perspective, but I'm sure Adam Isaacson will love that. And so do you, because that's a podium that maybe you weren't thinking about getting coming into the final stages of that race, but get it anyway.
No, the 3 of them got a gap on me quite early, and they were just stuck together, and you won't catch 3 of them. They just get a draft from behind and in front. So, and plus they're really fast drivers as well. So I was doing all I could to try and keep up, and I got within the second half, and then a back marker again up. No saying anything else on that about, but I get held up again.
That happens in these hour-and-a-half long races, and I imagine you've got a bit of a sweat on after that one. It seemed like a tasty one. Not much wheel battling for you in general throughout the race, though.
No, it was quite a lonely race myself. I was just toddling around myself most of the time.
Yeah,
very hot,
especially
especially with the hangover.
Yeah. On a good one last night, taking the
Oh
town
yes,
red, I
yes.
imagine. Yeah,
Yeah.
good stuff.
Get
Good stuff.
get Joe for that stuff now.
It's a deserved podium, though. Again, once more for you. It's P2 last week, P3 this week, and yeah, things are starting to come together for a rocky start of the season. What do you think's changed? Have you maybe taken a percentage off your pace in order to keep things safe, or is it just a case of getting used to the car again and getting back into the swing of things, or what do you think's been the change? What do you think's caused the change in fortune for you?
Just keep it on the track. I've got the pace in this car. It's just finishing these races without any incidents. You know, I think at Sebring I made a mess of it a couple of times. Didn't think I raced the first race. Can't remember. But yeah, this car, I like this car. I click well with it. It's a good fun car to drive.
Certainly.
And you're always pushing 100%. Well, I do.
Oh, I can't say that I do when I'm doing my sim racing, especially when I'm doing just normal races, like not a league race or anything like that kind of thing. When I'm doing racing against randoms, I tend to give up positions quite easily, live to fight another day, and such. But you were fast on the track today. You were the quickest outside of those top three with a 138.88. 3 or 4 tenths off the pace of those front three, but it's the consistent pace, isn't it? That those guys are so good at. Not only can they go 3 tenths a lap quicker than you, but they can do it every single lap.
Yeah, that's why the 8K ratings, you know. So
Exactly.
I know how hard it is to get to 6.4, but I'm not. So God knows how hard it is to get to 8, and that's why they're at 8K. You know, they're so good, so consistent. Don't make much errors, you know. So no, I'm happy being in the mix with them.
Certainly would be. I mean, beating Jurgen Frank on track, whether it's through a fault of his or not, kind of thing, is always a good position to be in. One thing happened for you in the middle of the race as well. You dropped off the guys, the front three guys, for a little bit. Then you caught up with them again, and then something happened, and we didn't catch it. But you lost about 3 or 4 seconds. What happened there? Was it a slowdown? Was it a back marker getting in the way? What happened?
No, it was the bus stop. I hit the curb at the wrong angle. Surprised I kept out of the wall, because every time I've done it in practice, I've been straight into the wall. So
You wouldn't believe how many people we saw flying into
Yeah.
that wall today. A lot of people are getting that wrong in that double chicane there at the end of the back straight.
It's easy done.
Tricky corner in these cars. It's very bumpy, those curbs, and if you hit it wrong, it certainly can send you somewhere you don't want to be. Sure.
Yep. Yeah, see, I kind of knew I was getting it wrong, so I was on the brakes already, if you know what I mean. And I think that's what stopped me hitting the wall.
I'm not sure if it still does it, this radical car, but when I drove it the first time I drove it, it used to be that if you held the brake and the throttle at about 50% each, it kind of really self-corrected itself at times, depending on how bad your spin was. Is that still the case in this car?
Yeah.
Brilliant
You
stuff.
can control it. You can lose it, but you can stop hitting the walls quite easy on it. Quite a good car to save.
Certainly is, yeah. It makes it very fun to drive, though, I imagine, because there's no better feeling in the world, I believe, than getting a big power slide on, saving it, keeping it out the wall, and carrying on your race. It's one of those where you kind of the shock after the shock wears off, you think to yourself, "Oh, I can't believe I've done that."
Yeah, bit of Tokyo drift, but not good for the tyres. You heat the tyres up and do it.
You've got to take it easy for a corner or two. Strategy then. Let's move on to strategy. So what did you go for strategy wise? Was it looked like the same as Sebring, where you go long and then do a pit stop, get your fuel and tyres, and then do a quick stop and go? What's the thinking behind that?
I did my quick stop and go early. Well, first, if you like, to check the tyres, see what condition they were in, whether I was going to change them on the second stop or not. Because it felt like they were starting to lose a bit of grip, but I had 60% left when I went in. So I wasn't going to change them after that, and I had the car rimmed up from the start, you know, the full 80 litres. It was just a quick splash and go. I think I took too much fuel, actually. I had an extra lap in.
Yeah, it's a rougher track as Sebring, so definitely tyre wear's different from track to track. So I wonder if the 90-minute races in the future, people are going to have to put the practice in and get a practice race run in to see what the tyres are like. Imagine you didn't do that this time, since you had to check early on.
No, I hadn't not this week. I hadn't put a full race in. Hardly any laps in at all. You know, but enough.
I mean, a tidy finish nonetheless, considering very little practice. Only 10 seconds off the lead in the end as well. And but yeah, good points haul for you in the championship. What are you thinking in terms of championship? These guys in front of you are going to be very difficult to catch, but that's going to be a big point haul that's going to push you maybe over the top of Nigel. I believe you will jump Nigel as well. He's on 95 points. You're on He's on 96 points. You're on 95, so you're going to overtake him for sure. Do you think you can make that best of the rest position yours? Is that your aim?
I think that the guys, anyone over 7k should lose a second a lap. That's my opinion. It would mix it up a little bit.
Handicap,
yeah, that's right. Add an extra kilo onto their car or two. But no, I mean, it's good. It's good for the championship to have these guys in it. You know, you want these kind of racers in their leagues. You know, so bring them on.
Definitely an entertaining one for us to commentate on as well. I'm sure you should, and you'll enjoy watching this one back if you do watch these races back. But yeah, we shall leave it there and let you go off and enjoy the rest of your evening. Maybe get some hair of the dog. Feeling rough still. And but thank you very much for your time, John, and congratulations on a fantastic poll.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Bye bye.
Yeah, thank you. That's John, and I believe we can get in our we can get in our race winner for the first time this season. There, Adam. How was it? How does it feel?
Feels good. Was quite a tough one. This really good race between me and Jürgen, and then it was a bit of an unfortunate end.
Yeah, I mean, you did very, very well to keep it out of the wall. I mean, talk us through that particular incident. You were racing wheel to wheel with Jürgen coming into the inner loop and coming out of the inner loop. I imagine a large stain appeared in both of your underpants as you saw that car stranded there. Talk us through that.
Yeah, it was really scary. I got a run on that particular lap up the hill. And he closed the inside, so I decided to go for the outside. I guess I didn't really squeeze him enough, so I kind of lost the corner. And then all of a sudden I see a car standing in the middle of the track. Yeah, we both brake. I managed to avoid him, but I go into the grass, and then I think Jürgen had a bit of netcode with him, so we got a 4x which gave him a drive-through.
So okay. So that's where the pit stop came from. He had a drive-through because of incidents.
Yeah.
So we may not be able to get an interview with Jürgen this evening. So it would be interesting. That's intriguing to find that out because that means it's. I thought to myself, it's a bit of a bitter end to what was a great battle. As we're watching the replay of it there as well, you did tap the back of Jürgen as you hit the grass just before you hit the grass as well, and you did an absolute fantastic job. I have to say. To save that and keep it out of that wall. You must have just been a passenger at that stage. You were just wrenching on the wheel to try and keep it out there. What happened?
Yeah, I think there was maybe 3 or 4 times this race that I was sure I was gonna put it in the wall. Was quite hard to drive, especially with how much the rears were wearing out.